Alright, we should be live. Let's find out. Yeah, looks like... It looks like we're live. Let me pull it up right here. Yep. Looks like it. We're live. Cool. This is literally the first time I've ever tried to do something like this. Sweet. I should be able to keep up with chat on one of these other pages.
YouTube Live.
And actually, I actually need to pull it back up so I can share it on my Twitter and stuff. Yeah, let's see here. So we can promote it on the tweeters. Notification.
Prem on the twatters.
Yeah, that's totally what I said.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Put it up on Twitter. Now I don't know if anybody's gonna show up, but if they do, awesome. Anyways. So this is our first live discussion stream, where hopefully in the future there'll be 3 of us, but KJ couldn't join us. Jabba the Bruv couldn't join us today, so because he has to do real world things like work.
Work.
Yeah, on a Friday night. Though I did tell him that if he got off in time and got home, he should join in because he should have access to the Discord channel. So, anyways, I'm Dart the Lad or ATRILEY, depending on how long you've known me, and I'm joined here by Sunny B, my buddy Zach. In the description I have links to both of our Twitches. He mostly streams Apex, so if you're into Apex and stuff, you can go check him out on Twitch. I also have links to our Discord and my Twitter, so if you want to check out any of those things, you can do that. So first thing, I think we're gonna talk about some Kingdom Hearts stuff. So when I had that poll on the community tab asking, how we should do this if we did a live discussion stream, I was like, all right, should we keep it only Kingdom Hearts? Should we talk about whatever we want? Should we talk about whatever we want, but maybe start with the focus on Kingdom Hearts? And that was the way most people went. Second most answered was talk about whatever we want.
Right.
And then like a small handful of people were like, just keep it Kingdom Hearts. We don't want to listen to anything else. So we're gonna start with Kingdom Hearts, and then we'll branch off into some other things because I got some other stuff I want to talk about as well. And the first thing we're gonna talk about is the current state of the Kingdom Hearts franchise, and how we feel about it.
Pretty good topic. I thought it was a great topic when you told me.
I wanted to start with something that was really broad, something that we could really dive into, especially for this first one. This is the first time we were doing something like this.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something like that covers the whole Kingdom Hearts franchise and how we feel about it from when the franchise started to how it is now. How we feel about where it's going, where it's heading, and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think the future's very bright from where we've left off, despite the fact that there's nothing but more questions from the last DLC and 3 and Millennium Memory. It's looking very bright. We're heading in a very good direction.
Right. I agree. There's a lot of people out there who I've seen it on Twitter, on Reddit, who they want all these big changes to happen to Kingdom Hearts. And some of them I get, and some of them to me make absolutely no sense. I think the biggest one I take issue with are the people who are like, we want less Disney in Kingdom Hearts.
And yeah, the big problem with that is Kingdom Hearts is a Disney-owned property.
Exactly. It's a Disney IP. I'm like, they're not two different things. Kingdom Hearts is Disney. It's Disney. Go ahead.
You gotta think of it as like they're producing it, man. The Square Enix is just making the game. It's like if you go and order a custom shirt, they're making you the shirt, but it's your shirt.
Exactly. You know, anyone who's like, oh well, Square has just as much, stock in it as Disney. Like, no, they don't. You don't look at certain Disney characters as the artists who drew them's characters. You look at it, they belong to Disney. They belong to the company.
Yeah.
Just because not Toriyama, sorry, that's Dragon Ball. Just because Nomura, I was thinking about Dragon Ball earlier today. There was a whole bunch of shit on Twitter. I might get into that later. Just because Nomura, designed these characters, he writes the stories and is the head behind this massive franchise, doesn't mean it doesn't belong to doesn't mean they're not Disney characters,
Yeah.
The art doesn't always belong to the artist is basically what I'm saying. That's not always how it works. And someone who says to me, if someone says they want less Disney in Kingdom Hearts or they want to remove Disney from Kingdom Hearts, to me it's like they're not two different things. They're the same thing. All original Kingdom Hearts content is Disney content. So if you say you want less Disney, you're really just saying you want less Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, essentially.
And that's how I see it, at least.
I mean, the Trinity has always been Sora, Donald, and Goofy. If you want to take them out, it doesn't feel right. I mean, it even goes back to a lot of lines throughout the franchise thus far. Sora says his friends are his power. If we take out Disney characters, what do we have? Riku, Kairi.
Now, here's the thing. They're Disney characters. Which is exactly the point I'm making. All the original characters are Disney characters. If you want to take Disney out of Kingdom Hearts, you just want Final Fantasy. And at that point, just go play Final Fantasy. It's that simple.
If you want them all together like that, Dissidia.
Yeah, play Dissidia. Play Dissidia NT if you hate yourself. But I mean, it's okay. It's okay, but it's not what it should have been. It's that simple. That's how I view it when someone says, "Oh, they need to get rid of Disney in Kingdom Hearts," or they need to stop putting so much Disney stuff in Kingdom Hearts. Like, it's always been Disney. It's a Disney game that's made by Square Enix. It's that simple. Just like Square's Avengers game. That don't belong to Square. It's an Avengers game. It's a Marvel game made by Square. That belongs to Disney. It belongs to Marvel.
What's another thing that you super disagree with?
All right. Aside from the people want less Disney and stuff, people who I don't entirely disagree with this one, but there are people who obviously want more. It's sort of the flip side of that coin. They just want more Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts. I don't necessarily disagree. Where I take issue is when people all of a sudden act like Kingdom Hearts is not Kingdom Hearts without Final Fantasy. I can see how some people would see it that way. I understand that. I just don't agree.
It's always been nice to see Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts, but it was even shown from the get-go that they don't have I'm going to say quote unquote solid stake in this because they don't really have a world of their own. That Cloud doesn't come from Midgar. A lot of them come from Radiant Garden.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have their own world, whereas there's multitude of Disney-based worlds that house the Disney characters associated with that world.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the Final Fantasy characters, a lot of people, they need to stop and realize they weren't even always going to be in the game. Originally, there was not going to be Final Fantasy characters. That's why when people are like, Kingdom Hearts has always been a Disney Final Fantasy crossover. No, it hasn't. It wasn't made with that intention. Yes, what it basically is a Disney Final Fantasy crossover, but it was not made with that intention. It was made with the intention of it being a Disney game.
Yep.
Tetsuya Nomura added these characters, these Final Fantasy characters, because one, he felt like they would help sell the game because they weren't sure how the game would sell because I don't think a lot of Disney games at that time sold very well.
Yeah, and all he did was add some of his cool, iconic characters.
Exactly, and you look at the Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Fantasy characters that he included, they're all characters he designed.
Yeah, all of them.
I think the only, now I could be wrong, but I think the only character he has included that's Final Fantasy in Kingdom Hearts that he didn't originally design was Setzer.
Yeah.
Now I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the only character that is included in Kingdom Hearts from Final Fantasy that he did not design.
I think that's right.
Yeah, the point is, Kingdom Hearts would still be Kingdom Hearts without Final Fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would not be Kingdom Hearts without Disney. And I'm not saying this as a Disney shill. You know, I love having the Final Fantasy characters there. I do hope we see more of them in future games. But I agree with Nomura, and he said so himself, Kingdom Hearts does not need the Final Fantasy characters anymore. That doesn't mean they won't show up, but they don't have to be there. Because the Kingdom Hearts series has grown this massive original cast that can carry these games on their own with a lot of those trademark badass Nomura designs. I mean, a lot of these characters look fantastic. I mean, I don't think there's really a bad design among them.
I like ever since 3, I love the designs. Well, when 3 first came out, I was iffy on the design for Sora and Riku because I had loved their Kingdom Hearts 2 outfits for so much. Because I've played the game over and over and over. I gotten so used to Sora's awesome black outfit.
Yeah.
But it after a while, it really grew on me, and now it's my favorite. I love Sora's design from KH3. It's literally my favorite design of his now. I think it's so cool.
I agree. I after his Kingdom Hearts 3 design was revealed, I immediately liked it simply because, you know, up to that point, Kingdom Hearts 2 design for Sora was my favorite, like a lot of people. But once his 3 design was revealed, I think I just realized I liked it more because the Kingdom Hearts 2 design for Sora was really busy.
Yeah, they had a lot going on.
It's a really busy look. His outfit, he's got a lot of other colors layered on top of that black. He's got a lot of straps and belts and pockets and stuff, you know, typical Nomura stuff.
But 3's more toned down.
Yeah, a little bit more streamlined. Yeah, I agree. I actually think Sora's hair in 3 is his best hairstyle.
Yeah,
I like how it lays down a little bit more.
Yeah, I've seen an interview them talking about that, how they decided for 3 that the spikes would be toned down a little bit more and it really helped give him this more mature look, as if he was a little bit older. And I really do like the design. I love his hair in 3. It's probably the best in my opinion.
Yeah, you know, if you really look at the Kingdom Hearts series and how Sora has evolved and how he has changed throughout the series, if you look at Sora in Kingdom Hearts 1, he's got this sort of airbrushed, colorful Disney look about him.
Yeah.
You know, he looks like he could be a Disney character. You know, as a kid, you know, I watched animes. I watched Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Dragon Ball, and Sora didn't come off to me in Kingdom Hearts 1 as an anime kid. He came off to me as like a Disney kid, you know?
Yeah.
With the big shoes and this sort of this soft coloring about him and everything. Yeah. Then Kingdom Hearts 2 came along, and, you know, he had a very hard anime feel to him.
Oh yeah,
he looked like he looked like you know, anime protagonist.
The super spike, because you know that top spike, it went from like that 1 or 2 piece from 1 to like 2 or 3 huge pieces. It really stood out. You know, he went super anime hair into.
Yeah, exactly. But then you go to Kingdom Hearts 3, and it looks like they went back to that sort of airbrush style. He looks more like a Disney character in 3. Especially like in his face. He's got these soft features in the face. The colors are real soft. They're not super harsh colors. The way his hair, you know, it lays down. It's not as, you know, anime-esque. You know, and he's still got a little bit of that anime flair to him because it's a Japanese character, Japanese game. Yeah. But it feels more like Disney, and I feel like he fits more in the Disney worlds in 3 than he did in some of the other games.
He feels like the embodiment if somebody had created a Disney character in Japan.
Yeah.
Like perfectly. Like that, you could feel the origin and a lot of the influence is Japanese culture,
Hmm.
but it just feels like a Disney character that was drawn by the Japanese.
Yeah,
It's as simple as I can put it.
yeah, yeah. I would agree with that. Um, see, I feel like these games. I feel like the series itself is in a really good spot right now. Even though right now, for this year, Kingdom Hearts is sort of like on a break.
Yeah,
For now, you know, we
we had our
didn't think
PC release.
exactly. We got the PC release, and we didn't think we were going to get that. They had said they
Yeah.
were going to take a break from Kingdom Hearts, that they were done with Kingdom Hearts for the year before that, and then the PC ports came,
Thank God.
and now you know we're getting a little bit of a break, which makes sense. You know, Square's got a lot of stuff on their plate, and Tetsuya
Yeah.
Nomura himself has a lot on his plate. He's working on a lot of projects.
I mean, yeah, we're still working on Final Fantasy VII remake right now, and
Yeah,
we'll get that later.
yeah, he's got the new The World Ends With You game coming out, which he plays a part in that. Um, yeah, he's working on a lot of stuff right
Oh, yeah.
now, and it makes sense because next year, you know, is the anniversary for Kingdom Hearts. It's it next year the franchise I think turns 20 years old.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, let that set in. 20 Kingdom Hearts will be 20 years old next year, and that's when I thought we were going to get the PC games.
Yeah. I mean, we got them early, which
Yeah,
I'm so happy about.
I thought we were going to get PC ports for the 20th anniversary for certain, and I'm glad I was wrong. I'm glad they decided to bring them out ahead of time, you know, even if it is on Epic Games. I'm glad they decided to go ahead and give us that.
Yeah.
News that came out today, the final story update for Kingdom Hearts Union Cross has been delayed.
Delayed.
It's been delayed, and it's going to be split into two parts,
Oh.
which means I think the game is not going to be discontinued now until June, I believe.
Hey, there you go, Union Cross players. That's what's
Yeah,
up.
so we get a little bit more time. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. End of service announcement. I think the game's going to close, and we're going to get an offline version June 15th or something. I can't find it. It was on Twitter earlier. But June 15th I think is when we're going to get an offline version of the game. And the final story update getting split into two parts, I feel like that just means, you know, they have a really big climactic finish planned. And they were like, you know what? This might be kind of big to sort of fit into one update and give players a very limited time to beat all of it. At least that's just how it comes off to me. I don't have any sort of insider knowledge. It's just how it comes off to me. But I
Yeah.
think that's really cool. It gives people a little bit more time to digest it a little slower instead of feeling like, oh crap, I gotta rush, I gotta beat it before the game shuts down. Especially people who are just now picking up the game, trying to rush to the ending before it actually ends. Because there are people trying to do that. I've seen some people asking, it's like, oh, is it easy to get all the way to the end of Union Cross before it closes? And it's possible. It's difficult. Because there's a lot of grinding in that game. I mean, you could do only cutscene based quests and get the story,
Right.
but
I
anyways,
still feel I wish Union Cross would get remade as an MMO.
that'd be great. Even if it got remade as just a single player game, just so we could get the story that it's telling
Yeah.
in Unreal Engine, and you know, get a more Kingdom Hearts streamlined gameplay mechanics and things like that. I feel like would be great, and you know, creating our own Keyblade wielder would be amazing.
Yeah, that's probably the best part.
Yeah,
Constantly updating their clothes. Kingdom Hearts fashion is huge to people.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's huge.
Being able to constantly customize your own Keyblade wielder would be really cool. Revisiting some of these worlds and visiting, you know, like the Wreck-It Ralph world, which so far is unique to that game.
Yeah.
You know, it's a world people have been asking for a while. And, you
And
know, the first time we get it was in the mobile game. And no offense to the mobile game, because it's probably one of the best mobile games I've ever played, but it is a mobile game, and Japan loves that shit. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it, but Japan loves that shit.
Yeah. I'd rather play better games than mobile games, but it's whatever. I like 3D environments and stuff. And every time I've ever played a hardcore mobile game, I like to play games for hours.
Right.
So my phone ends up heating up and my battery ends up dying because usually if the game's good, I don't want to get off. I'm not here to play it for 10 minutes. I'm here to play for 2 hours.
Now, I feel like the ending is, in typical Nomura fashion, I feel like the ending is going to set up the next game, or maybe the next after the next game. There's going to be some sort of big reveal or big setup at the end for Union Cross.
Basically, there's going to be more questions than answers.
There always are. Isn't that just the Nomura Kingdom Hearts style? We always end up with more questions than answers. It's like you get an answer to something you've been wondering for years, like, oh crap, that's what happened, and then something else weird happens. You're like, wait, what does that mean?
Yep.
That's just how Kingdom Hearts is, and I'm getting to a point to where I've just accepted that even when Kingdom Hearts ends, if it ever ends, I may still not know all the answers.
No, I don't think anyone will.
He will intentionally leave things ambiguous just to confuse people, just so people will theorize for decades to come about, oh, what did that mean? And because that's just how Nomura is.
Yeah.
He loves just sort of stringing people along on these little plot threads that he lays out. But I feel like, because now the last update ended with the new Union leaders, the Dandelions, fighting darkness, and Ventus basically getting up and confronting darkness himself, and the whole thing about if you're pure darkness, I must be pure light, stuff like that, and saying that he's going to, since darkness doesn't have a form that they can defeat, Ventus is going to give him a form and reshape him into a form that they can defeat. Which obviously I think everybody can guess that's leading to a reveal of Vanitas.
Yeah, it's Vanitas.
It's too obvious for it to not be Vanitas. I think the biggest questions are who did Luciu put in the lifeboat? Who did he put in the Ark to send into the future? Because we still don't know who was in the white robe that he was carrying to send to the future. The true Dandelion.
That same white robe that looks very suspiciously the same one that Ventus wears.
Yeah. Who is he? Who's the true Dandelion? That's the biggest question. And to be honest, because it's Nomura, I don't even know if we'll get an answer in this game.
No, probably not.
He'll probably leave it ambiguous. It'll be some big reveal later.
In a future game.
Yeah, and I feel like not everybody's making out of this. Not all the Dandelions are going to make it, to the Ark, to the lifeboats, and get into the future, and make it out. I feel like somebody's not going to make it. I think also I don't even think there's enough of them for them to escape, honestly, because I think I remember seeing when I played it. I didn't really look at it, but I saw a picture of that ending sequence, and it didn't look like there was enough arcs or lifeboats for everybody to live in. I don't remember exactly how many there were, because I know Maleficent had used one to escape into the future, and that's obviously how we got the Maleficent in Kingdom Hearts 2. So, the Maleficent we have in Kingdom Hearts 2 is the same Maleficent from Union Cross who escapes using the lifeboat into the future. Because she had her medium and her waypoint in the fact that she had her robe in that time, and people with memories of her being the three fairies in Kingdom Hearts 2, and then that's when she reappeared. So I think that was a neat way for Nomura to finally explain how Maleficent came back, which is a question we had always been sort of wondering.
Yeah, instead of just she's here, that's it.
And it took him a long time to do it too, to finally answer that question. Oh man, I'm not looking forward to waiting that long for some of the other answers that we need.
Yeah.
It's
as long as we get them, at least.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's an entertaining ride the whole way. But I agree with your earlier statement. I think Union Cross being remade as a full-fledged game would be I think it'd be money.
It'd be bang. Straight up. I play Apex regularly, and they do microtransactions. And not all the time do I buy shit, but sometimes I do. Now, if you tell me that there's an MMO where I can not only make my own Keyblade wielder, but I can play fashion with that motherfucker, bruh, it just starts selling me clothes, 99 cents for a set, whatever. I'm buying it. I'm not even gonna be proud of it, but I will.
I'm not even gonna be proud of it.
I'll play Kingdom Hearts fashion. That just sounds like so much fun. Even if the game is kind of booky, I'd still like to make my Keyblade wielder look super cool.
I think the story is just too good to leave just on a mobile game.
I think the story is an amazing portion of Union Cross, and I think that would make a MMO version of the game just so great because the story is just so good. Even if the gameplay isn't all of that, you still got an amazing story to back that up.
Yeah, I mean the story is the main reason I play it. It's more lore, and honestly, a lot of Kingdom Hearts' deep lore is coming from that right now.
Yeah.
With the old masters and the unions and the Keyblade War and the Dandelions, a lot of the lore that's going to set up the future of the franchise is coming from that mobile game, and not enough people even know what happens in it. And I feel like Nomura may do something about that. Whether it's make a new cutscene movie for a future release, or they'll make a game based on its story for consoles or PC. I feel like he'll do something. He has said in the past he didn't like having the story spread across so many different platforms. He wanted it to be easier for people to experience the story.
Yeah.
And I could see him trying to do something about that with the mobile game, because not everybody has played the mobile game, even though it being a mobile game makes it the most accessible of all of them. However, it's long, and not everybody wants to spend hours upon hours upon hours grinding in a mobile game just to get some lore. Not everybody enjoys mobile gaming. I typically don't enjoy mobile gaming. There's a handful that I like, but I don't spend hours playing them.
Yeah.
As for, other things in the franchise right now, there's really not a lot of news surrounding Kingdom Hearts at the moment. After the PC release, which that's actually what I want to talk about next, is the PC ports and how it has shifted the community a little bit. Everybody was so scared leading up to the release of the PC ports of Kingdom Hearts because there was no news. They were radio silent. They were like, "Hey, it's coming to PC," and then nothing else. They didn't show gameplay, nothing. And people were so scared. They were like, I'm not feeling comfortable about how silent Square is being about these ports. Turns out the ports are not that bad.
They're pretty good.
Kingdom Hearts 3, I think, runs the best out of all of them, which I haven't experienced it myself yet. I bought it, but I haven't booted it up yet. But based on other videos and experiences I've read and seen from other people, it seems to be handling a little bit better than the older games.
Good.
Melody of Memory plays extremely well on PC. Extraordinarily well on PC. I would go as far to say as playing Melody of Memory on PC is the definitive way to play that game. Because the increased frame rate, the low latency between my controller and my computer, my timing is just as close to perfect as it can be on PC while playing that, as opposed to when I was playing it on console and having to worry about the latency between the wireless controller of the console and my TV. So, Melody Memory runs well. Kingdom Hearts 3 runs well on PC. Now, 1.5, 2. I can't speak to 2.8 because I haven't played that one yet either, and I haven't read much about other people playing it yet. As for 1.5, 2.5, it's got issues. Not a whole lot of issues, and most of them are not game-breaking, but some of them are. I've heard a lot of problems about Kingdom Hearts 2 corrupted saves. I've heard about issues about Kingdom Hearts 2 not allowing people to save. Kingdom Hearts 1, I keep getting this weird texture problem where the textures glitch out and flash blue and stuff, and the floors happens a lot in the accessory shop.
I've seen it on your streams.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And I don't think it's your GPU.
No, it's definitely something with the port. Some issues with the frame rate. And when you look at them, it'll sort of slow the frame rate down, and it'll go from say 100 to like 60 or 100 to 30 or whatever.
Wow.
Now I haven't played Kingdom Hearts 2, so I have not experienced that, but other people have, so it's clearly an issue.
That's gotta be terrible. Kingdom Hearts 3 runs absolutely beautifully. I
Yeah.
had no issues for my runs.
I think the only problems I've really heard about with Kingdom Hearts 3 on PC is playing with Japanese voices. There's a bug where if you did critical with Japanese voices, it won't give you the proof you need to get Oblivion.
Wow.
Yeah, I've heard of that being an issue. What I've read as a workaround for right now is to simply switch it to English voices, go rebeat the final boss, and then you'll get it.
Yeah.
It's just some weird bug with the Japanese audio for that game, I guess. But I think that's the only real issue with 3 I've read about so far with the PC ports. Other than that, compared to most Square ports in the past, these games run great compared to them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the Final Fantasy 15 port was kind of lackluster. Final Fantasy 13 too, I played that a couple months ago, and it's been on PC for years, and it still runs like garbage. I mean, that game is trash on PC. I had frame rate issues the entire time I played, no matter what I did. And I've got a 3080, and it ran like trash. But, I mean, these games run surprisingly really well for a Square Enix port, I would say.
Thank God. Thank God, though.
It's like I said, there's not a lot of news in the community right now, aside from the PC ports and everything. I think that next year we're gonna get a new game, or maybe not a new game, but at least an announcement for a new game.
I hope.
I like to be hopeful about it, though, that we're gonna get a new game.
An announcement would do me just fine, honestly.
Yeah, knowing that something's coming, you know. Nomura has said that they've begun work on the next thing, or are gearing up to begin work on the next thing, or something to that effect. He mentioned that the Union Cross team is going to be merging with the main Kingdom Hearts team to begin work on the next entry into the series.
Okay, so cool. Some great storytellers with great game makers. Let's go.
Yeah. As far as what the next game should be, what's something you would like to see for the next Kingdom Hearts game?
A fucking Pocahontas world, man. Just make that the whole game. Pocahontas world.
Pocahontas.
Just give me that, dude. Sheesh. I'm really interested to see all the stuff that goes down with the Zora. It's gonna be a lot of cool stuff. Because at the ending of 3, spoilers, obviously, but you've had your fill. You've had time to beat it. At the end where Sora recognizes Yozora, but he says back to him that he shouldn't recognize him in this form. And then we cut to the secret ending, right? Where he wakes up and says Sora's famous first line in KH1, but he still looks exactly as he did in that other world. So I want to see in the future installment how he was perceiving himself in that area.
Yeah, if that's not what Yozora really looks like, then
I feel
who
like
is Yozora?
I feel like the model that we saw is what he really looks like, but he was looking something different in that realm, because Sora was probably seeing Yozora's heart, how he really is. Because I mean, it's Sora. That just sounds legitly like a power he has to see Yozora for how he really looks, because he can see into his heart.
Fair enough.
So that's just my theory, because just based off the secret ending, how he still looks the same when he says, Sora's famous line.
Yeah.
So I feel like in that realm where he fought Sora, he looked different to himself.
Yeah, that makes sense, because if the way we saw him wasn't his true form, why would he still look like that in the limo?
Yeah. So I feel like he looked different to himself, but we see Yozora how he is.
Yeah, potentially, because he says to Sora, how did you know I was Yozora, or how could you tell I was Yozora, or whatever, like something to that effect.
Yeah.
And he says, you see me as Yozora. Yeah, there's definitely some fuckery going on there.
That's the main answer system that I want in this in our next game. I want to see that scene from Yuzora's point of view.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Um,
The way he gives off the line as well just gives me these feelings that maybe we could start a game off as Yuzora, or maybe he's going to be leading the next game.
it's
You know what I
possible.
mean?
It's possible. I think it's safe to say the next game we're getting is not Kingdom Hearts 4.
No, it's not Kingdom Hearts 4. No.
I feel confident in saying that the next game we're gonna get. Now, obviously, I don't have confirmation of that, but I feel confident in saying it's not gonna be Kingdom Hearts 4. It's gonna be some other titled game rather than a numbered game, and it probably won't even follow Sora. Honestly, I could easily see the next game following Riku potentially, which I know a lot of people would love. They would love a game led by Riku.
We could get another game with the Birth by Sleep crew.
That
They're all in the realm of darkness.
That's something I want.
Yeah, same.
I want another game with the Birth by Sleep team, doing their own thing, and even better, I want it something similar to the Final Fantasy VII remake where we can freely switch between the three.
I would. Look, they set themselves up to be in this kind of position because of Final Fantasy VII Remake. That battle system could easily work for the Birth by Sleep team in a next installment with them.
Absolutely. We don't have to split them up. Just let us have all three at the same time. Let us switch between them.
Swapping,
I mean, customizing each of their Keyblades all at the same time. I mean, it's a way for you to make a Kingdom Hearts game that hasn't been done.
Yeah, and it would feel so new, so fresh, with such a unique and amazingly put together battle system. I loved Seven Remake's battle system. It's amazing. It's incredibly well thought out. It's very engaging, and I still don't get bored with it. Tifa still entertains me. That battle system is amazing, and I think it would work flawlessly with the Birth by Sleep team.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they're all so different from each other that they would feel different in combat.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I really just want another game with that team.
Yeah, me too. They're just too cool. They're my favorite trio.
I think, though, I wouldn't be mad if we got a game following Riku. I wouldn't be mad if we got a game following the Twilight Town gang.
Yeah, I would love any of those.
I would like to see more of Isa, Saix. Knowing that he's just sort of hanging out with them now.
Well, now that Roxas is a real person, I kind of want to see more of him because he's pretty cool. Dual wielding Oblivion and Oathkeeper and having his own Kingdom Key. I think Roxas is cool.
Yeah, well,
even though he got fanned into reality.
Yeah,
he's here now. I've accepted it. I just want to see more of him because now, I mean, I like his design. I like his aesthetic. I like the fact that we could see a cool character and an organization coat wielding Oathkeeper and Oblivion. From his debut, I thought, that dude's a hard ass. That dude is so cool. And then he's voiced by Justin McCartney, so I was like, he's not that cool anymore, but...
Oh, man. I think it's funny how Roxas always has Oathkeeper now, but I'm like, bitch, Kyrie gave that to Sora, man. Give it back.
I can get the Oblivion. Because, I mean, sure. It's just a black crown keychain. It's a kanji of darkness. I'm pretty sure 28 dudes in the world got that Keyblade. No problem.
But how does Oathkeeper keep ending up in everybody's hands? There's only one lucky charm.
Kyrie only made one. Now, if you want to say like there's like a Data version or something, and that's how he has that, I guess
it's a version he made from his heart. Some stupid shit that only Nomura would come up with.
Yeah, that makes total in-universe sense, and it's fine. But
it's been explained why he can still dual wield, and stuff like that. Basically,
I mean, isn't he still the shell of basically two Keyblade wielders' hearts? Isn't that why?
Sort of. That's why he could dual wield originally, because he had Sora's body, who was a Keyblade wielder, and he had Ventus's heart, who was a Keyblade wielder, so he could use both of their Keyblades.
Yeah.
Essentially. Basically, Nomura confirmed that, once you learn how to dual wield, you can always dual wield if you want. Once you unlock that ability, you have it. You can do it. But that's why he could dual wield. That's, when he returned to Sora and returned Ventus's heart to Sora, that's why Sora could dual wield in the drive forms. Obviously, we had theorized that before, that the drive forms just sort of unlocked Ventus's sleeping heart and allowed Sora to dual wield with Ventus's Keyblade as well.
Yeah.
Which seems like that's what ended up being the case anyways.
I mean, it makes sense. Still makes sense. I don't know about that anymore, seeing how Ventus has his own heart, but double form exists.
Well, like I said, Nomura's basically confirmed that once you've dual wielded and once you've used that ability, even you can do it from then on without having two hearts.
So why doesn't he just do it all the time? Sora, you are slacking.
Maybe
you
Sora
could be literally doing double the damage all the time.
Maybe he doesn't care for dual wielding. Maybe his style is just single wielding weapons.
Maybe, because I mean, you got to think about it. These are swords. These are weapons completely made of metal. Mm-hmm. He is swinging these things around at a vast speed, and these are huge chunks of metal.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be his preference of style. Like, Roxas clearly prefers dual wielding. That's his style. Ventus prefers backhanded, which is his inefficient style.
But it is a style nonetheless. Inefficient it may be. And everybody else is like kind of normal and just holding it in front of them.
Except for Axel, who sort of holds it with his fingers behind him. Like,
he's still, to this day, it bothers me that his Keyblade wasn't Bond of Flame. It really irks me. Or when I was younger, thinking that he would have a chakram in one arm and his Bond of Flame in the other. I mean, wouldn't that have been cool? I'm not the hugest fan of his most recent Keyblade. It's not really that cool to me.
I like it. I like his current Keyblade. I like Bond of Flame as well. I don't, however, like the Keyblade that Ventus gets in Birth by Sleep after meeting Lee.
Oh yeah, that one's good.
Yeah, I don't like that one. It looks kind of similar to his current Keyblade, but his current Keyblade, I think, looks better.
Yeah.
I like his Keyblade, but I mean, me and you have disagreed a couple times before on Keyblades that we think are ugly or good looking.
Yeah, which is really weird.
I mean, sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree. Like when we eventually get our buddy KJ on here, we're gonna talk about each of our top 10 best looking and ugliest Keyblades. I've already got a few in mind, and I know you've got one that probably a lot of people would disagree with.
The metal chocobo, man. Coolest Keyblade
for good looking.
No.
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about the fact that you've literally told me before how much you hate Vanitas' Keyblade.
God, I hate that thing. That thing looks so ugly. He could have had what I was hoping for. Would have been the Keyblade of Heart, the one that Riku wielded in KH1. That should have been Vanitas' Keyblade. That would have looked so much cooler. And it would have made sense, too, because Riku's dark form is based off of Vanitas' basic body, Vanitas' form of darkness. And it makes sense because it's Riku's dark form, and if the form of darkness looks like that, it just would have made sense for the Keyblade of Heart to be his Keyblade. It would have been so cool.
Yeah, it would have been cool, but I don't have a problem with his Keyblade. Isn't it called Void Gear or something? Gear.
Both the version, the black one and the black and red one that he wields, I don't like either of them.
I like both of them. I think they're pretty cool looking. They're a little chunky.
Yeah, they're chunky boys.
They're a little chunky for my taste, but I like them. I mean, there's a lot of Keyblades I think just plain don't look good, but I'm gonna get into that another time. I
just think Void Gear has too much going on.
It is a busy Keyblade, but I think there's other busier Keyblades that I would rather shit on. As far as the next game I would like to see, I think the game I want the most is either a remake of Union Cross or a game with the Birth by Sleep trio. If I had to pick, it'd be one of those two.
Yep, absolutely. Do something with either one of those for the next game.
Yep. Easy.
All right. So I wanted to talk to you. I want to change the subject now. I want to do your favorite gummy system out of our top numbered games.
Have our number. So between Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What is your favorite gummy system? Because we've had 3 different systems now.
3.
I would have to agree. I think the KH3 had the best gummy system. The freedom,
Yep.
and then moving into enemies and bosses, it all felt really good.
I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is the only time I've actually enjoyed doing gummy ship stuff.
I actually enjoyed KH1 gummy system, but that's because I put a lot of time into perfecting my ship in the first one.
I only enjoy it later in the game when you have good parts for your ship.
Yeah.
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 Early game when you just have the basic ship and you
It is rough.
and you don't have warp drive, you have to take the path to and from every world. It just feels tedious.
It does in the beginning. It definitely feels really slow until you get to the second set of worlds. The game feels very slow, but I also attribute that to world building. You get to take your time seeing everything.
Kind of. I think for the gummy ship stuff, I feel like that's the part of Kingdom Hearts 1 that has aged the worst. I feel like now you go back and play Kingdom Hearts 1 and the game hasn't aged that bad. I mean, it's aged. Don't get me wrong. The game is aged. The combat is kind of clunky. The platforming is very unforgiving. But out of everything, I think the gummy ship stuff aged the worst. I think just the fact that, you're flying in a straight line, it's just, I don't know. It just, compared to Kingdom Hearts 2, where you had a lot more going on, there felt like there was more dimension to what was happening. You weren't just flying in a straight line the whole time. I just feel like Kingdom Hearts 1's gummy ships were the weakest. Kingdom Hearts 2's were, I feel like some of them were good. Some of them I just plain didn't enjoy.
So, from my point of view, I liked 1's more more than 2's because
Really?
it felt more immersive, the whole system, because it felt like it just directly you're actually traveling from world to world through the ship, because whenever you're flying, you arrive to the world, you see it from the distance moving in closer to you.
Yeah,
then when we move
like
into Kingdom Hearts 2's gummy system, it's just these doorways with keyholes that you go through and unlock.
I did like seeing the world when you got to the end of the gummy
Yeah.
path and 1. However, I don't get why, if you look around, all these obstacles you're avoiding, they're nowhere off to the sides of you. Just go around all of it.
Yeah, I know. like Sora, you're a terrible pilot. Why are you aiming for all of the obstacles?
Why are you going straight through all this stuff? Just go around it. Like, it's just like, come on. That's why I like Kingdom Hearts 3 the most, because the freedom, the free roam ability that you have to just fly around however you want. You can set off for one world, go the wrong way, end up at a completely different world.
Yep. And that actually happened to me my first playthrough, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it happened to me too. I was like, yeah, and it was a world I hadn't been to yet. I was like, I didn't mean to come here.
Yeah, I started it off. I was trying to go to Toy Box, and I ended up going to where did I go? To the Kingdom of Corona.
Yeah.
But when I got there, I was like, I'm gonna fucking land here. Like, this looks cool.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing to me about Kingdom Hearts 3's gummy missions was the scale. Everything was just massive. You landed at a world, and the world was actually huge.
Yeah.
I was like
really
wow.
big. Like, they were ginormous.
Yeah, and I mean, and even some of the achievements and stuff, looking for the constellations and things like that, and all the secret treasures that you could find while flying around the gummy ship in Kingdom Hearts 3, I think was really cool.
It is great. And getting the golden Highwind in Cage 3 is just it's beautiful. It makes the whole thing a breeze, and it makes you feel like a total awesome boss. And I gotta show you how to get it, because
it's something I haven't done, and eventually I'll be doing 100% playthrough of Kingdom Hearts 3 on Twitch. Okay. Have you? I haven't played every Kingdom Hearts game on the hardest. Hold on, why is my webcam getting all blurry?
Get your focus going on. You got
See.
focusized.
Why is it? What? Hold up. Where's my little cloth? I got a little cleaning cloth somewhere.
Bro, just focus up.
Why are you gonna be like that? Hold on a minute. I know what I'm gonna do.
Just focus up.
I'm gonna turn it off real quick.
Oh, Jeebus.
There you go. Anyways. Okay, so again, I haven't played all the Kingdom Hearts games on the hardest difficulties. Have you?
Yes.
You've played every single one on the hardest possible difficulty.
Except for Recoded.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Well,
that's it.
So, okay, so you've played Dream Drop on critical and Birth by
One
Sleep
on
on critical.
Birth by Sleep on critical. Yes.
Okay.
I love them all. They're all an amazing experience. It puts your knowledge of the mechanics of that game to the absolute test.
Okay, so in your opinion, which one was the hardest?
The absolute hardest, in my
Yes.
opinion. Let's see. Let me think. It's a close call between Birth by Sleep and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dream Drop was I'd probably put in third place. Just because the mechanics weren't 100% smooth, and it definitely kind of added a little bit to the challenge of the game, but it still wasn't that hard.
Okay.
Now, Birth by Sleep is brutal because it does not have a movement system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of it's very stiff. Aqua is probably not Aqua. Aqua and Ventus are probably your fastest moving characters, and
Birth by Sleep has the floatiest combat.
yeah.
I mean, there's even like a whole animation practically before you touch the ground. Like they have to settle on the ground.
Yeah, and that contributed a lot to the fact that you can get one shot by a lot of things for a long time.
That's
But the same goes for Kingdom Hearts 3 because there's a lot more going on. There's enemies in the background that are constantly shooting projectiles while there's enemies in front of you constantly doing moves, and you got to look at everything and judge whether you need to attack or relocate your position. I'm gonna have to say that Birth by Sleep is probably the hardest, with second place being KH3.
Would you say Birth by Sleep was the hardest simply due to the design of its combat?
Yes.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was gonna.
I think I've heard that out of all the critical difficulties, I think I've heard that Kingdom Hearts 2 has the easiest critical.
Yes. So you get reflect in that game. I don't care. Your abilities, none of it matters. None of it. Just reflect everything. You win.
I've actually heard that. I've heard some people say that Kingdom Hearts 2 on critical is easier than on Proud.
Yeah.
Simply because I think they said you deal more damage in critical for Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, early game they hook you up.
Yeah, so they said that if you know the boss patterns and stuff, you can end boss fights a lot sooner than you would on Proud.
Yep, is the amount of damage that they have to help you out with to make it not completely unfair. Because early game, at least for a while until you get reflect, or depending on the build you go with, you could get second chance first. But for a while, that things that can one shot you, it's only hard until after you're done with your first four. First four worlds. After that, you're pretty set. The rest of the game's a cakewalk.
Okay. Which now we've been talking about about the different Kingdom Hearts games and the state of the series and everything. And in your opinion, which of the games do you think had the best world lineup?
The best world lineup,
and not just talking about worlds based on properties that you like, but everything down to the design of the worlds in that game. What they were, how they contributed to the story.
I mean, so I love 2's world lineup because there's a lot of them, and a lot of them are really good, and a lot of the Disney stories they tell within them are very well told. You know what I mean? Like landing in the Land of Dragons and doing the whole Mulan story. That's a lot of fun. It's probably some of my most favorite memories of KH2 is starting the game and going to the Land of Dragons. It's so much fun.
I would agree.
But I really liked 3's lineup, despite the fact that they didn't have as many worlds. They only had 8 8 worlds of Disney. I
Something
think.
like that. What we had Hercules, we had Toy Story, we had Tangled, we had Frozen, we had Monsters, we had Pirates.
8 or 9.
That's 6. We
100
had
Acre
we
Wood.
had 100 Acre Wood. We had you know, Big Hero 6. So yeah, it's like 8.
Yeah, so 8.
Unless I'm missing one.
But despite the fact that we have a smaller amount of worlds, the majority of them feel like they were actually very crucial to the story and the plot of KH3. Everybody that was in those worlds were there for a reason, and they told you that reason. As opposed to 1 and 2, 1 has a little bit better of a reason why you're going to the worlds. You need to seal these keyholes.
Yeah.
2, you're just kind of showing up.
Yeah, and granted, that count was just for the Disney worlds, not the total world count. Just to clarify.
Yes.
Yeah, because
obviously
there's Twilight Town,
and
Keyblade Graveyard, and Mysterious Tower and stuff.
But yeah, just Disney World.
Yeah, which honestly, Kingdom Hearts 3 had a similar world count to 1.
Yeah, it did.
And people were complaining that Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't have enough worlds, and I'm like,
yeah,
those people were just spoiled from Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, it feels like they started with 2 and that's all they played, and they watched the story for 1.
Yeah, and they expect everything to be bigger in the next thing, and there to be more in the next game.
Well, to be fair, it was bigger, and there was more in 3.
Yeah,
the worlds were so much more filled with life than they had ever been before.
Absolutely. I think people just, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people just got spoiled by the choice, the amount of choice they had in 2. And I don't blame them. There's a lot to do in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Some people didn't even know you could go back through all the worlds a second time.
Yeah, like KJ. He went straight to the world that never was.
There's a lot to do in KH2, which is fine. I mean, they had a lot of time building that game.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people complain about the lack of Keyblades in Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm like, okay, but look at me in the eye and tell me, did you really use every Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts 2?
Yeah, because it got to the point where we could upgrade our Keyblades. The beginning Keyblades were no longer useless after a certain point. They were still useful. You could play through the whole game with the Kingdom Key now, and it'd still be viable.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't turn it into a difficult playthrough just because you're using the Kingdom Key.
I feel like that justified the lack of Keyblade numbers.
Yeah, and like I said, in Kingdom Hearts 2, there were a lot of Keyblades I never even touched. Because by the time I got them, I had better Keyblades.
Yeah, they were just worthless. You just got them. Speaking of, what was it? The Abyss something? The one from
Atlantica. Yeah. The only use I would have for that Keyblade is for the Axel data fight because it has Blizzard boost.
And that's it.
Yep.
But see, now in KH3, I can still use Kingdom Key. Ever After, bro, that's probably one of the brokest Keyblades in the game.
It's probably one of the most broke Keyblades in the whole franchise.
Like if you do a critical run off of no save, that Keyblade is your saving grace because you do a magic build. That was my saving grace. I went to that world first. Like I could use that Keyblade through the whole game, and that's you would never have done that in old KH titles.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's good reducing the amount of Keyblades. For one, it's not something I thought about back when I played Kingdom Hearts 2. I loved having so many Keyblades to choose from. Being older now, understanding a little bit more about how games are made and understanding, what goes into making these games and the hard work that goes into designing characters and weapons and worlds and levels, I can appreciate why Kingdom Hearts 3 went a little more conservative on the amount of Keyblades. Because I'm like, okay, well, they're not blowing their whole load trying to design 50 Keyblades for this one game, Other designs they may have in their head, they can save for a future game.
Plus, there's the form changes. In KH2, you just had 2 Keyblades in hand, and that was it. And 3, we've got form changes, and some of them have form changes beyond that. They have 2 of them. Mm-hmm. And they're very well thought out and have some beautiful animations put into them.
Yeah.
And a lot of work went into that.
And
good.
Oh, I was just going to say, and here's the thing about that, is imagine putting the amount of Keyblades that were in 2 into Kingdom Hearts 3, and having to make a form change for every single one.
And I know that a lot of people still complain that, oh, there's some form changes that are still reused
Yeah,
and
there are some reuse, so that should make people understand even more why there are less Keyblades in
yeah.
3. Like, they were already reusing form changes. Imagine how much harder it would be to come up with unique form changes for
Well,
even more Keyblades.
still even to that, I would still say that even some of the form changes that are similar still have. I mean, sure, the animations may be the same, but
The
the
concept.
designs, the designs are different. Like the dual arrow guns with
Hmm.
the honey keyblade
Yeah.
and the stars, they're completely different. Like flashes going. Sure, they have the same animation, but what's actually going on is so completely different. They still put in work to these keyblades. They're not
Yeah.
doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But that also goes into the double form. Everybody's favorite form. That's just second form's for beginning animation.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, I think the Kingdom Hearts game that has aged the best is Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yes.
I think
Its combat system is still one of my favorites to use.
Yeah, I
It's a
think
lot of
it
fun.
has absolutely aged the best. I feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to age just as well, if not better, over time, simply because of the technology behind it. You
After
know,
doing my critical run of 3, I actually have to say that KH3 is my favorite combat to date. It's my favorite battle system of any action RPG.
nice. I already really like the combat. I can't wait to do my own critical run of the game.
So
But
much fun.
I got to get through all these other games first. It's going to be a
Hey,
headache.
I'm excited to watch you stream KH2's critical run.
Yeah, I'm
The
excited to do it. It'll be right after I do a proud run of Recom.
Hey, look, if you can do KH2s, you can do KH3s. I believe in you, man. It's gonna be
Yeah,
great.
I'm just gonna have to, actually focus on what I'm doing.
Yep.
Don't go in half cock just trying to rush the boss and which is
And
something when you're on standard difficulties for these games, a lot of
hit X
times you can just exactly, it's just a Mash X
speed.
simulator. These games are meant to be played by all ages. Switch it to on beginner for children.
Mm-hmm.
Bump it up to critical for hardcore hack and slash fans and RPG fans. People who have been
Yeah.
around this type of stuff for a long time.
And when you crank it up to critical, that's when you have to do the whole. You can't just run in and hit next. You gotta make sure you dodge, block, reflect, react to these bosses instead of just
Yeah.
acting.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's what I really love about these games too.
Yeah,
Is the broader difficulty.
mhm. I think obviously Kingdom Hearts 3 is still getting a bunch of hate on Reddit and Twitter. I mean, obviously it's got its fans. It sold really well. We love it. A lot of other people love it, but while the haters generally are the minority, they're the loudest.
Yeah.
And it's that way in any community, whether you're talking about Kingdom Hearts, superheroes like Marvel or DC, Star Wars, Dragon Ball, whatever. The haters, the detractors are always going to be louder, making it seem like they're the majority, but they never are.
Yeah.
Um, I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to age exceptionally well in that regard. I feel like a decade from now, we're going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts 3 the way we talk about Kingdom Hearts 2.
Absolutely. It's an
Because
amazing game with a very, very completely structured plot.
and if anyone disagrees with me on that, go back on the internet, search for discussions from around the time that Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. I promise you, you're going to find a lot of conversations that are going exactly the same way Kingdom Hearts 3 discussions are going right now. A lot of these same complaints were made about Kingdom Hearts 2 when it first launched on the internet. I didn't know this because I was a kid when it came out.
Yeah.
I was a kid. I was just happy to have another Kingdom Hearts game. I
Yeah,
didn't go on
same.
the internet looking at all the toxicity and people complaining like, "Oh, there's no good level design. There's no platforming."
Yeah,
I
I
was just happy.
never even had a problem with that. I loved Gage too. I thought the escalation from 1 to 2, all of it just made sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, if I could nowadays, sure, if I could change one thing about Kingdom Hearts 2, it would be a little bit more complex level design.
Yeah, a little
Um,
bit more platforming to it.
yeah, because there's almost none in the game,
Yeah.
except for like that secret area that takes you to the data fights.
Yep,
Um,
and that's the most platforming. That part was the Cavern of Remembrance was one of my favorite parts of that game.
yeah, I mean, there's actual platforming in that area.
Yeah, it's a
So,
lot of
yeah.
fun.
I think the franchise itself right now is at a high point. Go back to Kingdom Hearts 1, even as far back as Kingdom Hearts 2. Go back to Kingdom Hearts 1, and try to remember how much merch you could actually find for Kingdom Hearts back then. Almost nothing.
You'd be lucky.
Dude, when I was a kid, I was like, oh man, I want a Sora toy or, some Heartless
Yeah.
so I could play.
Heartless
And
toys.
all you could find were these little figures that barely even moved.
Yeah.
Like, I had a little Sora figure where only the arms moved, and he was forever in his battle stance.
Do you remember trying to find Keyblades online? How
Yeah.
very niche it was, and now look at them.
Now you can find foam Keyblades everywhere.
Yeah.
Some people making metal Keyblades or wooden Keyblades, but mostly plastic and foam Keyblades everywhere. You can go to Spirit Halloween and get plastic Keyblade replicas. I'm like, no way! Where was this stuff when I was a kid?
Yeah, it would have been amazing when we were kids to have that kind of stuff.
Exactly, because I would have been in the backyard swinging that shit around and breaking it.
Yep, and having to get a new one next Halloween.
Yep. Man, I wish all this stuff was around. I mean, you can easily find Kingdom Hearts action figures now.
Yeah.
And I'm not even just talking about the Bring Arts or Play Arts stuff. I'm talking about just general lower quality action figures. You can find them in comic stores and toy stores and GameStops all over the place. I've even seen them in Walmart.
Merch is going crazy. Shirts, jackets. You can find organization cloaks. You can find what I found recently. This is really cool. It's a hoodie, right? But it's got the organization theme on it. So you got the chain that goes down with the chain that for the tightening of the hood, and the hood is done right, and it's very big. But it's just a nice pullover hoodie.
Nice.
And it looks amazing. You know what I mean? Like we've come so far with merch with this franchise.
Yeah, I mean, everything down to Funko Pops and
yep.
I mean there's a Keyblade in the background there. There's so much Kingdom Hearts merch out there now, and if this stuff was around when I was a kid, I would have been the happiest kid on the planet.
Yes, same, dude. like they start making some like plastic replicas of Oathkeeper and Oblivion, and I can like go as Roxas or something for Halloween. If I could have done all that as a kid, oh my god, dude.
Yeah, it would have been great, man. Also I've seen pictures where occasionally at parks like Disney World or Disneyland they have Donald and Goofy in their Kingdom Hearts outfits for
Really?
the characters that walk around. Yeah, I don't think they do it often, but I have seen pictures of them at those parks.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
dude.
and I've seen Kingdom Hearts pins, like the little collectible pins at Disney World for Kingdom Hearts, and I'm like, that's really awesome. I love that Disney is embracing this property more now than ever.
Yeah.
And they're realizing this is a money-making property, This is something that they can bank on. It has a large fan base.
When you buy all of the games for, 4 different platforms at this point?
Right.
What can you say? It's a money-making franchise, and they've done what fucking Bethesda does and release the same game over and over.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if it comes to Steam, I'll buy it again. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of will too.
Because I'm like, look, I've already bought it how many times now? What's one more gonna do?
Yeah, and if that just shows, hey, this is a money-making franchise, put more money into this franchise, that makes me happy.
Yeah, I mean, some people are gonna say, oh, you shouldn't support them just giving out the same game over and over again. I'm like, why? I like them.
Yeah.
I want them to know I like them. I don't mind giving them my money.
Yeah, I mean, because you got to think of it from their standpoint too. If they're making money off of this product, they're going to view it as we should make more money off of this product, and that's what I want. I want more of this product.
Yeah, clearly a ton of people bought the PC ports on Epic.
Yeah.
And whether you hate Epic or you love Epic, the people who just refuse to buy from Epic, I don't like Epic either, but if you just straight up refuse to buy the games from Epic because it's on Epic, you're not sending a message to Square and to Disney that you don't want these games on Epic. You're sending a message saying you don't want these games on PC at all. They're not reading your comments saying I'm not buying it on Epic. No, they're seeing the money that they could be making that people are not paying as people don't really want these games on PC, it seems.
Yeah, honestly, from a business standpoint, they would probably see that if it sells super well on Epic, and these are smart people. They're not idiots running these companies. These are smart people. If they see that they sell well in Epic, it's not much longer that somebody's going to talk to the boss. Hey, we should re-release this on Steam. I bet you people would buy it again.
Yes, of course, assuming that they don't have a lifetime permanent exclusive deal with Epic, because we don't know that yet. Nobody knows that. So if you hear from anybody saying that it's for sure coming to Steam or it's for sure never coming to Steam, they don't know that. Nobody knows that. Don't listen to those people.
There's no way to know right now. No way.
Unless you see a definitive official statement on an official website or Twitter or something from Square or Disney saying, otherwise, it's not confirmed. I had no problem buying it from Epic. They're honestly the first games I purchased from Epic and actually spent money on.
Same, actually.
I've like I said, I don't like Epic, but I'm not gonna sit there and say, oh, I'm just not gonna buy them because I don't like them. Like at the end of the day, as long as they had achievements, I was like, cool. They have achievements. Yeah. I can play them. I can 100% them, and if they come out on Steam, I'll fucking do it again. I mean, I'll fucking do it again. It's that simple. I love the franchise. Everything they put out, I love. When they confirmed Melody of Memory, I was like, really? This a rhythm game? Like they couldn't just come out with another game, But then I thought about it and realized how stupid I was being. Like it's not even made by the same team.
Yeah.
It's not like it was diverting resources. And then I played it and I was like, this is fun. This is way more fun than has any business being.
Honestly, yeah. When I saw it, I was like, "This is stupid," and I'm not gonna care for this. But when I came over to your house and played it a little bit, it's like it's kind of fun, and it's got literally the best music ever.
Yeah, I mean the Kingdom Hearts soundtracks are beautiful. I mean
they're a bop,
and some of the tracks straight up piss me off. I'm looking at you, Monstro theme, but I love the Kingdom Hearts music, and I I was so glad to be proven wrong about not liking Melody of Memory. I now love the game. I'm trying to 100% it currently in my free time. It's a fun game, and Melody of Memory opened my eyes to how great it would be to have other sort of spin-off different genre Kingdom Hearts games. Like, tell me you wouldn't play a Kingdom Hearts kart racing game.
I can't, because that sounds like a lot of fun.
Kingdom Karts, if you will.
Oh my god! This guy's already being hired by Square as we speak.
I mean, I'd play the hell out of that.
I would too.
Customize carts and pick different Kingdom Hearts characters to play as.
You can put keyblades in people's hands on the carts or something like
that. You can customize them, give them like little items like weapons and keyblades and stuff. I mean, have like different... it'd be similar to something like Mario Kart or the kart game in Disney Infinity, where it's like battle carts, you attack and stuff like that. I think that would be awesome.
It'd be a lot of fun. And it wouldn't be that hard to make.
Exactly. I mean, look, you put Terra on his Keyblade glider.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that easy. Come
Ben
on.
is on his little board. Aqua's got her little thing.
Yeah, her little... I don't even know what it is, honestly.
It's a Keyblade.
I don't even know what it is.
But I mean, yeah, their cart's easy, and then from there, they can also push the franchise forward. We could finally have official armors for Riku and Sora and Kairi, and that's their vehicles that they're driving in the game. I don't know.
Yeah,
I would be hyped to play that. That'd be so much fun.
I think that out of all of the fandoms that I follow, Kingdom Hearts definitely has some toxicity in it, but I think it's probably the least toxic of all the fandoms I follow.
Honestly.
Generally speaking, I've seen a lot from the Dragon Ball fandom, a lot from Star Wars, a lot from Kingdom Hearts, a lot from all these other fandoms that I follow. And Kingdom Hearts, generally speaking, that fandom has been really welcoming. Like I said, that's not everybody, because I've seen some toxicity. There's some people in Kingdom Hearts who genuinely act like they know everything.
Yeah.
And I can't fathom how my camera's all being weird again, so I'm gonna fix that. I can't fathom why they can't understand that you can be wrong. It's okay. You can be wrong about something, and just when someone corrects you, they're not trying to be rude about it. They're just trying to prevent you from continuing to believe misinformation.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure you're out there giving the right information. If I say, well, actually, no, that's not quite right. It's this way. And I try not to take being corrected badly either. I'm not right about everything with Kingdom Hearts. There's been things that people have put on Reddit or Twitter, and I will fact check, and I'm like, I never knew that. Or I'll say something and it was wrong, and somebody corrected me. I'm like, really? Are you sure? And then I go fact check it, and I was like, okay, I guess I was wrong. Somebody tried to tell me that Nomura never said that Kingdom Hearts doesn't need Final Fantasy characters, and I was like, hold up, I'm gonna go find the interview. Found the interview, put it back on there, and he didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
It was like, I have he was still basically saying, no, that is not a real interview. Like, shut up. Just shut up. If you can't accept when you're wrong, just go away. Instead of turtle shells, you throw keyblades or cast spells. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be that would be awesome.
Really cool.
Basically throwing strike raid from your cart.
Yeah, oh my god, that'd be so cool. And you have 3 uses of it, like 3 shells, because you can throw it 3 times, dude.
Yeah, you got the different surge moves where you could just like surge your cart into side carts or whatever and bump into them, and like the fire surge and thunder surge and all that stuff.
Oh man,
that'd be amazing.
Fire pickups could be like turbo for your car.
Yes, Square, make this game. I'm telling you, people will play it. Like, if
we've done 30% of the work for you.
Like, if you had faith in a rhythm game for Kingdom Hearts, make this. People are gonna play it. I mean, maybe even more so than the rhythm game, because this is something they can be more competitive with.
Yeah, people love being competitive.
Exactly. They're gonna want to play co-op, split screen co-op with their friends, just like Mario Kart. People will love this. I mean, it would be something, make it right, and you can rival something like Mario Kart, because, arguably, next to Nintendo and Mario, the only icon more recognizable is Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's how you rival that mainstay Mario game, Mario Kart, is make a Kingdom Hearts kart game where we can play as Disney characters, Kingdom Hearts characters, throw some Final Fantasy characters in there.
Oh, Sora's kart could be the high wind, dude.
Yes.
Dude.
That'd be amazing. That'd be so great.
This shit writes itself.
I would say make a Kingdom Hearts fighting game, but I think they've already pitched that. I think I remember reading that was the original idea for Dissidia, and Disney was like, no.
No. But now,
No,
I mean,
that could be
we're
wrong,
kinda
but
good now, because we have enough, characters in universe that are original to Kingdom Hearts.
yeah, and I think it's just, I'm like, I don't understand if that's true. I don't know if it is true, but if it's true and Disney said no because they didn't want their characters fighting each other, I'm like, your characters fight constantly in the games. Like, they're fighting monsters, sure, but they're fighting. I mean, the original characters are your characters, and let me tell you something. In Birth by Sleep, when Aqua goes to Cinderella's house, and Lady Tremaine and her daughters are in there, and she says, "There's darkness here," and she just whips out her Keyblade. I'm like, God damn, she's straight up ready to go in there and murder people.
Yeah.
I'm like, Aqua's ready for murder. She's ready to bust in those doors and murder 3 women.
I mean, the characters already constantly fight other Keyblade wielders too, and not just in game. There's also cutscenes of them fighting.
Yeah, I mean,
that's Disney characters fighting.
The recoded cutscene movie, we see Cloud fight Hercules.
Yeah.
I mean, Hercules straight up punches the Buster Sword back at him. one of my favorite fight scenes. It's in my top 10 best fight scenes video. I love that scene. I mean, a Kingdom Hearts fighting game would be incredible. Do it similar to Dissidia, or make a Dissidia that includes Kingdom Hearts characters.
Original Dissidias. I hate the new ones.
Yeah. I mean, let's not
but
redo
it would work.
DNT.
The system would work.
Exactly.
For original Dissidia.
Yeah,
it would make a lot of sense.
Cool. I mean, I don't know what else spin-off wise you could do with Kingdom Hearts, but Melody of Memory opened my eyes and made me realize you can do a lot with this franchise, and people will play it, and I will play it.
Yeah. You can give me a freaking Kingdom Hearts memory matching game, and I'm buying it.
Oh man, something like a sandbox game, Kingdom Hearts Animal Crossing type shit. I mean,
oh man, that would actually be kind of cool.
make something that's Kingdom Hearts. I'm gonna want to play it.
Probably. Yeah.
I'm at least gonna try it.
Yeah.
Even the mobile game, I've made myself go all the way up to the end. I've kind of hit a wall recently because I don't have good enough medals, and I'm not spending money on a game that's about to shut down. But so I've sort of hit a wall right at the last update where I'm at the second to last boss fight, and I just can't get past it. But I'm like, whatever. It's gonna go into an offline mode, and they're gonna basically turn it into theater mode, so I can just watch all the cutscenes then. Plus, there's other great YouTubers out here who are covering the games and the lore and recapping the cutscenes and stuff. So
Right.
that's where I'm watching a lot of that stuff at. And when it does get turned into a theater mode, I would like to record all those cutscenes and do one of the cutscene movies for it and put it here on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's something people have been asking me for a while. Oh, are you gonna do a Kingdom Hearts 3 movie? Are you gonna do the Kingdom Hearts 3 cutscenes in a movie? And originally it was just a flat no. I wasn't gonna do it. Because for years, it wasn't even active on here. I posted like 1 or 2 videos, and they were basically just shit posts. But now it's a little bit more gray because it's something I would like to do, but I have to find a way to do it that keeps me safe from those copyright claims.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if I did a Kingdom Hearts 3 cutscene movie, I'd have to cut out. I'd have to cut out Let It Go.
And
and I'd have to cut out the intro, and stuff like that, because I'm not trying to get copyright strikes and get monetization taken away from me again, because that was part of the reason I stopped doing YouTube, because they took my monetization away. At that time, I was already burning out, and I was like, it's not worth it if I'm not even getting paid. You know, if I don't want to do it, it's not worth it if I'm not at least getting paid. Now I'm rekindling that passion for making content, and I'm like, okay, well, I started doing that Twitch stuff, and you're the one that got me into doing Twitch, and I'm like, okay, well, now I can start doing YouTube stuff, re-upload my VODs from Twitch to YouTube, and in between, try to make some more original content for Kingdom Hearts and other stuff, like that Batman video that me and you have coming up, hopefully sometime soon we got to record.
Yeah.
But, it's... Kingdom Hearts is... It's been the focus of my channel for so long. I'm trying really hard not to get boxed into that again. Generally speaking, when I upload something that's not Kingdom Hearts, people just don't watch it. I get 20 views, 30 views, sometimes as low as 15 views. People don't watch it. Well, whatever. It's content I'm enjoying making. Someone may watch it down the line. For some reason, there's a video of mine with 5,000 views. It was me when I worked at that golf course, and for some reason, it has like over 5,000 views. And I'm like, why? It's just me talking about working at a golf course. I don't get it. But I don't understand. But I'm like, okay, well, if that's got 5,000 views, surely these can one day have more than that. So
it's the algorithm.
So I just, I'm going to make the videos I enjoy making. If they do good, great. If they don't, whatever. They may do great somewhere else down the line. Is there anything else about Kingdom Hearts that you want to talk about right now?
I think we're done. We want to start talking about the state of the MCU and DCEU.
Yeah. Now I haven't seen today's episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Haven't either.
So I'm waiting to watch that tomorrow when you guys are over, and we're gonna watch it together.
But the state of the MCU right now is looking really great.
Yeah, it was looking, it was like who could say last year, because of COVID, and COVID was just starting up, and things were getting delayed, and they had already said they were going to slow down a little bit after Endgame and after Far From Home. But now now that we got WandaVision is out and it's over, we're currently getting Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we have other things coming up. We still have Black Widow coming up. The MCU is looking good. I'm super excited for this next chapter in the MCU.
Yes, it's looking a lot better. Even though I'm still with the majority on saying that I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier should have released before WandaVision, but
maybe. Yeah, I can sort of agree with that. I think it would have been the safer show, because so many people were turned off by WandaVision when it first started, because it was just so different and it was kind of weird.
Yeah, because at least Falcon and Winter Soldier kind of leads into this very cinematic feeling, superhero action.
Yeah.
The show was filmed incredibly well. Incredibly well. It feels like I'm watching a movie for a lot of it, because it's shot so professionally.
Yeah, it's got a very cinematic feel to it.
And the action sequences are very nice.
However, the MCU fans, you got to slow down. Everybody was so upset about Mephisto not being in WandaVision. I'm like, you got to slow down.
Like
We're
we're basically starting over at phase 1 again.
exactly we're starting from scratch. We're going back to basics. Like we already had our big Thanos threat. We had Endgame, and
Like
we
everything that
built.
phase 1 built to is done. Now we
Yeah,
go back to phase 1.
exactly. It took us over 10 years to get there. Like it was a slow burn. Get
And
ready
they're
for
like,
another one.
and they're literally asking, "Oh yeah, the first thing you're done, why you no show Mephisto, bro?
Yeah,
You did one thing."
they immediately wanted the next Thanos level threat. They wanted it to be Mephisto.
And it's like
Um,
you gotta think about it. We didn't get that until after what was it, 3 movies in?
yeah, I mean, we didn't really get much from Thanos early on. We got a little tease,
Yeah,
but
and that was it.
but even that wasn't until what, Avengers?
Yeah, and then we still had a whole other phase to go through. We had to go through phase 2 before we got another teaser about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Phase 2, we got Guardians, and we saw a little bit of Thanos in that. Um, and then like you said, it wasn't until Phase 3 rolled around that we really started picking up steam and building towards the Thanos stuff. So it's like, MCU fans, you've got to slow down. Just let them do their job. The reason you love the MCU so much is because of the slow burn, because of how they built to it, and
Yeah.
and let you slowly grind towards it.
What Marvel
It's
should have done is just said we're back to phase 1. A lot of people, it probably would have cleared the air for a lot of people because we're on to phase 4 now, right?
Yeah, technically.
So I feel like it would have just been better just saying, yeah, we're done with phase 3. We're back to phase 1. It would have cleared a lot of the questions in the air. Because I feel like people are thinking phase 4, well, it's after 3, so things need to keep ramping up. But I mean,
Yeah.
we're done with our big saga here. We're starting over from the ground up. We're basically back in phase 1, building the world again. But we already have this defined world. We're just, we both know that we're setting up for the new Avengers. That's going to be our big, huge movie, the huge blockbuster, the next Avengers movie.
Yeah,
It's going to be the new Avengers.
which Feige has confirmed we're not getting a new Avengers movie in Phase 4.
Yeah, it'll be a phase 5 or maybe even 6 thing.
Yeah.
If they push it to 6 and make it like the first movie of phase 6, that's still fine. That's a lot of slow burn.
It's a big deal. It'd make it a big deal, and give these characters time to evolve and to grow, because we're introducing a lot of new characters now. We're getting ready to introduce a lot of new characters, I should say.
Getting to the point where we're delving into the realm where people haven't even heard of certain characters.
Right. They've confirmed that they have a Fantastic Four movie planned.
Thank God.
They have said that they already know when they plan to debut the X-Men. And I'm like, okay, well, clearly if the Fantastic Four movie is good, they're going to be big players in the MCU going forward.
Oh yeah, Reed Richards, how smart he is in universe is
He's going to basically I think Reed Richards is going to really fill that Iron Man role that we're going to be lacking going forward. We need the smart tech guy. Exactly, the super genius. And if the X-Men, whatever they decide to do with the X-Men, if that does really well, I feel like the X-Men will end up being the focus in the far future of the MCU. Simply because there's so many stories to tell there. The X-Men alone have so many characters.
Yeah. But it all depends on what Marvel really wants to do in the end here. Whatever their plans are for how they want to run the show.
Yeah,
I have faith. I have nothing but faith.
Yeah, who knows what they're gonna do with Guardians? There's all James Gunn is, I think, only supposed to do 3 Guardians movies. And the third one he hasn't even started working on yet. I don't think, or he may have entered early stages. I know that James Gunn has said on Twitter that after Guardians he's gonna be taking a break from directing.
He is on a roll right now. He's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, after finishing up Suicide Squad, and he's about to move on to Guardians 3. He's about to take a step back from directing for a while.
Which is fine. The man has earned it.
Yeah, and they've confirmed that they're gearing up to start production on the next Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Things for the next Black Panther are getting ready to start ramping up a little bit.
Yes. I'm interested.
Thor: Love and Thunder is currently filming.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is currently filming.
That's kind of, everybody's hyped for that one.
Absolutely.
I'm the most hyped for Spider-Man. Spider-Man is my hero.
It's hard not to be excited for a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. especially for how great Tom is.
Yeah, and if the rumors are true and we get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield
Yeah.
in it, of course it's going to create a lot of hype.
What has really got me about it right now, at least as far as Spider-Man films are concerned, is we have what everybody has been asking for. We have Peter Parker at the point where he's confident enough to swing around New York. Whereas in Homecoming, he still had a fear of heights.
Yeah.
And Far From Home, we were out of New York, and we get the ending of him confidently swinging through New York. This is what everybody has been asking for. We have built Spider-Man up to a confident swinger in New York superhero. You know what I mean? He is at where everybody has been asking for him. So his next installment is probably going to be at the peak of his hype right now.
I hope so for sure, because I mean, look, Tom is still young enough to play Spider-Man for a long time. And he has even said he wants to play Spider-Man for as long as they will allow him to do it.
Yep.
Which I'm like, great. That's awesome. That's what I want. That's what a lot of other people want. Maybe not what everybody wants, but
Tom's been great in the role.
All I want is a consistent Spider-Man who we started with in high school, we go through college, and we go into Parker Industries with.
Yes. And it all so far has felt very natural.
Yeah, his growth has felt really natural.
It doesn't feel like I'm picking up a Spider-Man comic and reading about his origins through. I'm watching the birth of a new superhero in the world that he lives in a world where aliens have come down and the Avengers exist.
Yeah, and without having to be spoon-fed the same origin we know and have seen or read 100 times over.
I like what they're doing with the character. I like how Peter is handling the world that he lives in.
Yeah,
and I like the status where he's at.
Yeah, we don't need to see Uncle Ben die again. We know he dies.
Everybody.
They know he dies. That's why they don't show it again.
Yep.
I'm super excited for the Fantastic Four.
Be.
I'm someone who has Fantastic Four is a group of heroes that I've never cared a whole lot about, but want to care a lot about.
Yes. Because most of my exposure, at least in my youth, to the Fantastic Four has been through films and media and cartoons. I was super into comic reading until I got older. Mm-hmm. So it's like I wanted to like these characters because on paper they seem super cool. It's just the media never did them any justice, especially Doctor Doom. When I found out how cool Doctor Doom really is by reading comics, I was like, dude, this guy's been dealt such a dirty hand in the movies. Doctor Doom is so cool.
I mean, dude, straight up. I mean, I would love to get a live action God Doom.
Yes. That'd be so cool.
Obviously we're not going to see him completely destroy Thanos like he does in the comics, but I would love to see God Doom in live action.
Yeah.
I think that would be amazing. So I'm really, really excited to see what Marvel can do with what the MCU can do with the Fantastic Four, and I may be even more excited for the X-Men.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see someone take the mantle of Wolverine. That's not Hugh Jackman, as legendary as Hugh Jackman is and always will be. I think it's time.
See a different take.
Yeah, I think it's time. It's time to see. Okay, we all know Hugh Jackman is the GOAT, but he's really been the only live action Wolverine we've had.
Yeah.
So it's like we need to see something else. It's easy to say someone's the best when they're all you really got.
I'll be honest, I've never been a huge X-Men fan. I like some of the characters out of them, but as a team, they never really wowed me as somebody awesome. But I used to say the same thing about Iron Man, and then Marvel made Iron Man is probably one of my favorite characters out of the MCU. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to never actually care about Iron Man, but now I think he's so cool, and he's one of my favorite characters, and I hope they can do that with the mutants.
I was the same way with Captain America.
Yes.
Captain America was someone I always liked as a kid, but I didn't know anything about him. I didn't read comics as a kid. I didn't have, Captain America wasn't in a whole lot of cartoons when we were young. It was mostly Spider-Man and the X-Men. Yep. So I just saw Captain America, and as a kid, I was like, ooh, flashy colors, red, white, and blue. And I was like, I loved his outfit because I love the flashy colors. I like the round red, white, and blue shield, But then he becomes a thing in the MCU, and Chris Evans just made me fall in love with that character. I was like, Captain America is now, in my top 3 favorite Marvel superheroes of all time.
They honestly couldn't have picked anybody better.
Mm-mm. Nope. And it's it's so impressive what they've been able to do with these characters in the MCU, and it's why people feel so safe talking about the MCU.
Yeah,
Whereas you go in and try to have a conversation about the DCEU, things can get nasty.
things are very divisive. So let's get on the subject of the DCEU then. On the state of the franchise as it is.
I feel like the DCEU is not where it needs to be, but it's on potentially the right track.
I have to agree. What I feel like WB should do is pick up Snyder's Justice League and continue from there. Annexing Wonder Woman 84 or 86, I forgot the goddamn name of the movie now.
84.
They need to annex that because that goes against the lore of Justice League thus far. Wonder Woman has to have been abandoned humanity for 100 years. Like, she directly says that in Snyder's cut. So, but I mean, Aquaman still can stand. That interferes with zero bit of Snyder's cut of Justice League. I mean, there could even still be ways that they could integrate Wonder Woman 84 into it, and it'd still be fine.
Yeah, maybe she could mean that in a non-literal way.
Yeah, there's still ways that they can do it, but I really think that they need to boot the Justice League out and take Snyder's cut into consideration because that movie is beautiful. And as someone who's watched it 6 times at this point, and I also went back and rewatched Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman and Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Watching them consistently is not only pleasurable because of a consistent tone, but it really broadens their character arcs. Where we go from Man of Steel with a Superman who just got introduced, and I stopped trying to look at it at a point of view of established characters that I'm watching a movie about, and trying to watch how Snyder wants these characters to be viewed as. In Man of Steel, you see Superman in points of vulnerability and kind of mopiness, not the big blue Boy Scout that we know him as.
Uh-huh.
But I'm looking at it as a viewpoint from how Zack Snyder looked at it. If humanity literally right now in 2011 was introduced to a basic god, how we would react and how humanity would deal with that moving forward. And then we move on to BVS with Batman's absolute hatred of Superman and a lot of his character arc where he's becoming more cruel and he's justifying his actions despite him becoming more aggressive to this. When we get to Justice League, when we get to the Snyder cut of Justice League, and how a lot of these character arcs come through full circle where Batman is hopeful again, despite him still being himself. He still felt authentic Batman, but he's more hopeful than he was. Superman, despite coming back from the grave and still feeling this anger, rebuilds his memories with his mom and Lois, and he comes back stronger than ever. And that Superman theme that hits when he makes his entrance to stop Steppenwolf's axe literally gave me goosebumps, and it still does right now thinking about that scene. And it's just the previous movies at the time were probably divisive for a lot of fans, and I get that. I didn't like BVS when I first saw it, especially the theatrical cut. They botched that movie for theaters, and it was so disappointing. Because the Ultimate Cut is the definitive edition. That's the only version you need to watch. They really just should have just let Snyder continue his vision. Because after watching Justice League and seeing these character arcs come full circle, a lot of it feels justified in my point of view now.
Yeah, you can really see how much a studio can influence a movie based on just watching the Justice League versus the Snyder Cut.
Yep.
You can really see how a studio can completely gut and disembowel a director's vision.
Yeah.
And, and not just with that, but with BVS being another example that, if there's ever a director's cut, you should always support that director's cut because it's almost always going to be a better product.
Absolutely. I don't think I've seen a director's cut of a movie that I thought was worse.
Exactly. I've seen a lot of movies that had director's cuts, and I was like, why would I watch anything but the extended version or the director's cut? Whether it was the Zack Snyder's Justice League or the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs Superman, or going outside of superhero movies, the director's cut of Troy.
Yes. Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings extended versions. Same with The Hobbit. They pretty much always improve the movies.
Yep.
And I don't care if a movie's long. I've sat down and binge watched a 8 episode show with hour-long episodes. I don't care if a movie's long.
Yeah.
I can binge watch a whole season of The Last Kingdom in one day. It really doesn't bother me.
I feel like me and you share this philosophy that I would rather be told a good story than make a 2.5 hour movie just to make sure that I had time to make this movie and then go do something else.
Exactly.
I care more about the story of the movie I'm watching. You can make it 4 hours. You can make it 5 hours. Like I said, we've watched shows. We've been watched hours, 7 hours worth of television. I've never had a problem with media being long. I'd just rather hear a very good story.
Exactly. I 100% agree. And I get why, they do it for the general audience. The general audience doesn't like to sit around in a theater watching super long movies. That's fine. And so I understand that for theatrical cuts, but I genuinely think that all movies should have a director's cut when released on video.
Absolutely.
Because it always improves it.
It really does.
And I think, I'd watch a director's cut of a lot of the Star Wars movies if I could, like a longer extended version.
Yes.
Of a lot of the Star Wars movies, even though they basically are the director's cut. Lucas had complete control over the prequels and stuff. But if he wanted to make an extended version, I would totally watch it.
Yeah.
No issues. The DCEU though, I don't know. It's weird because I really, really, really wish they would continue Zack Snyder's vision.
Yes.
He doesn't have to direct every single movie, but maybe have him supervise the story and produce it and influence where the story's going to go.
Mostly because at the point where Snyder's given us a lot of the inside of this world. Sure, a lot of things would have been changed because reasons, but the storyboard for Justice League 2 and 3 were mostly released online, and Snyder confirmed them. Sure, things would be changed because, as it is for Snyder's cut of Justice League, a lot of the things from those plot points are already out of continuity. So obviously things would be changed. But honestly, if things were going how they should have gone, and we got Snyder's cut in 2017, we could be in Justice League 2 right now, which is where we're getting the Apocalypse War, basically. We would see the aftermath and these nightmares that BVS and Justice League had set up. We would be in that movie right now. We would see this destroyed world where they need to undo. Yeah,
you can't sit there, dangle a great villain like Darkseid in front of us, and then not capitalize on it. That's not fair.
Yeah.
You teased a genuinely great DC villain, someone even more powerful than Thanos. I don't care who you are, what your opinions are. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. Darkseid is stronger than Thanos. He's more powerful than Thanos. He would beat Thanos in a fight. It's that simple.
And it genuinely would have been a good story. Because, the general point is that, Darkseid invades the Batcave and kills Lois before Superman can make it there. And, Batman needs to send Flash back in time so that he makes sure that he's the one that, costs his life to save Lois. So that when Superman arrives, he can defeat Darkseid. Even if I'm already spoiled to that, I still want to see it on screen. Because that is it's already interesting enough. Because seeing them fail, because that was the point. We want to see them fail so that in Justice League 2, Batman can send Flash back in time so that Justice League 3 happens. And that's where we can fix everything and have a huge heroic moment. It's basically our Infinity War and Endgame. We have a movie where the villain is going to win and everybody's in absolute disarray. And then we have the next installment that's going to fix everything and give us all hope again. It would have been amazing. It would have been... People would be to this day, if things had gone like how Snyder wanted and we got Justice League in 2017, people would be making comparisons between Infinity War and Endgame and Justice League 2 and 3. We would be getting to that point where people are like, which is better, because these are 4 of these are really fucking great movies.
They'd also be comparing the plots because both of them would have to do with time travel.
They're very similar.
They would be saying, oh, somebody ripped off of somebody.
Yeah.
And if it even happened now, they would just be saying, "Oh, Snyder just ripped off of Endgame, hurt her,"
Well, it can go back and forth because a lot of people were saying that the layout of the storyboard was pretty much made back in 2016.
Yeah.
So a lot of people. I'm not going to say a lot of people, but I've hear say that. Some people are pointing fingers that Disney probably got their hands on this and were like, we could probably work this into something for our story.
I don't
But
I don't
easily could have
find
been
that
said the
likely.
other way around. Easily could have been said the other way around. Snyder saw,
Yeah, I
Infinity
mean,
War didn't do well,
I
I
wouldn't
could do
believe
that.
either, honestly. I mean,
Yeah, honestly.
I wouldn't believe that either ripped off if it ever happened. But,
Yeah,
you know,
agreed.
it's whatever. I mean, it's movies we're probably not going to get, but
Yeah,
you know,
but still,
that being said, you got to keep in mind Warner Brothers could simply be saying no just to say no. They
yeah,
could have plans to try and adapt his vision. Maybe not completely do what he planned, but maybe adapt his vision into their current plans. Because, you know, they said that no, Snyder Cut's never going to happen.
and it happened.
And it happened. They knew it existed. They said it didn't. You know, and yeah, he had to go back and do some reshoots and sort of finish it, but a lot of it did exist. And they tried to say that it didn't exist. And I'm like, okay, well, what if they're just saying no to this too? Because now they're just starting to play things a little close to the vest.
Yeah.
Maybe they
I mean,
know
they
it's
really
smarter to do that instead of get people's hopes up.
Yeah, because
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's possible.
I'm not gonna say anything's gonna happen, but it makes a lot of sense because when you confirm things for people, the hype gets real. Expectations are put on the table.
Just look
Now,
at Cyberpunk.
yeah. So when Snyder Cut was revealed, was it November of last year? Or was it December?
It was somewhere around there. I don't remember.
It was near the end of the year where they were just like, "Yeah, it's coming to HBO Max." Everybody's like, "Are you? I gotta get HBO Max, bro. I gotta see what's going on. I gotta get the story."
Mm-hmm.
It clearly
yeah, and I think I read that like HBO Max subs went up like 200% the week the Snyder Cut came out. That could be that metric could be wrong. I don't know, but
the morning
I think I read that.
The morning the movie went live, the servers crashed.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big deal, bigger than anything they've put on there so far.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I mean, it's a great movie, and it's not going to be for everybody. There's going to be people who hate the movie, and that's their right. But generally speaking, most people loved it, especially comparing it to the Justice League, which was a train wreck.
This is literally history of the making. Very few times have we ever had a movie released cinematically in theaters for our audience, and then that same movie be done in the original director's original vision and then re-released.
Yeah, it is definitely something. It definitely is, you know, a piece of cinema history, because it's like we have a case where a director was making a movie, leaves the movie, the studio completely changes the movie, releases it, people hate it, and then years later, the people force the studio's hand in allowing the original director's vision to be re-released. Basically, they were like, you know what? We're gonna re-release it and just, you know, we're gonna mulligan. You know,
basically,
we're gonna mulligan this movie and give it another try and see how people respond to this one.
When Snyder says, "Hey, I have like most of the movie on my laptop, we just have to finish all these VFX scenes," which I think he said on quote was 21,800 something shots that he had to do VFX for.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of film he went through, but he did it. And look at the movie now.
Yeah,
he shot one good scene in his backyard.
Snyder Cut actually made me care about Cyborg.
Yes.
Dude, in the Justice League, I didn't give a fuck about Cyborg.
Everybody hated Cyborg. They thought he was the most worthless character. That was the reason his solo movie got shut down. After watching Snyder's Cut, I would have been so hyped for a solo film for Cyborg. His character arc.
Absolutely, and it shows that it's not always the actor. It's not always the character. Sometimes it's the writer. Sometimes it's the director. Sometimes it's the studio who is butchering these stories and these characters.
Yeah.
And then, of course, all that stuff about Joss Whedon mistreating a lot of the actors on set. We've heard stories about racist remarks towards
sexism towards a lot of female actresses.
Racism, sexism. There was that story that recently came out saying that Joss Whedon threatened Gal's career and threatened to make Wonder Woman look really stupid in the movie. Which is just so fucked up. But, you know, I'm not going to get into all that, but it's just odd to me how the studio could play dumb for so long and not realize the great decision, the great opportunity they had on their plates to release the Snyder Cut. And when they finally did, now they're seeing how wrong they were.
you know,
to butcher that movie the way they did. And
and I hope. Yeah, go ahead.
and they're still saying that there's not going to be an Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. And I'm like, okay, but what if we have the same situation there? What if his version is vastly superior to what you showed us?
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't be the first time they were wrong, because I felt like the original vision of the Suicide Squad would have been a lot better of a movie.
I mean, the way he described it was a soulful drama. I'm like, okay, well, that's definitely different than what we got.
Like, it just, because, like, when you think about that, and some of the scenes that are within, like the ending when the Enchantress is showing a lot of the members of the squad visions of their perfect reality, you know what I mean? Like, a
Yeah,
lot of that kind of gives me the vibes of this soulful drama that where these are scenes left over from that they just kind of tacked on to their Frankenstein of a movie, and it makes me want the original visions. I feel like it would have been a way better movie.
absolutely, absolutely. I feel like they need to find a way to incorporate Snyder's vision into the future of the DCEU. It's clear they're going forward with this Flash movie, which is probably going to serve to soft reboot the franchise and the universe.
Which is fine.
You know, once they introduce the multiverse into the movies, they can do anything they want.
Yeah, anything.
I mean, if they want to get rid of Batfleck, which would be a loss in my opinion, I love Affleck as Batman. But if they want to get rid of him, they could make a new Batman, or they could bring Pattinson's Batman over into the main DCEU timeline.
They can do anything they want.
Anything, and that's another movie I'm super stoked about for next year is the Batman.
Yeah, the Batman. It's gonna be good.
You know, I don't care if that's not part of the DCEU, and I almost don't want it to be a part of the DCEU.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it as a standalone, it'll be beautiful.
I want it to be its own universe. I want it, make a Batman universe, you know?
Yes.
Make a Batman cinematic universe. I'm like, Batman alone has so much lore, so many rogues, so many partners and sidekicks and characters. You can build a entire universe, franchise universe around Batman.
You could build a decade's worth of universe just around Batman and his Batman identified characters.
Like, the amount of stories he has, and good stories. I don't know why no one has pitched this. I'm like, and dark stories that people are going to want to go see.
Then not only that, but the branch off movies we could do. I mean, you could have a Batman movie and a sequel, and in the sequel we introduce Dick Grayson as Robin. 2 more movies later, have his own solo movie of Nightwing, where we got a new Robin, Jason Todd, and yada. We could just keep going with this, where you have this timeline where we can branch off with solo movies for other characters, move those forward. They could all branch back into a bigger movie near the end. We could get to the point where we have the whole Bat family and have established every rogue in Batman's gallery, and have
and it can take and it can take as long as they need it to take to properly tell these stories. They don't necessarily always have to connect, but maybe keep them in universe. You know, you don't have to go out of your way to make sure this movie references that movie. You don't have to do that. Just...
Like for a Nightwing solo, while he's in Bloodhaven, I don't need to know Bruce is in Gotham doing stuff. This is a Nightwing movie, but I know that this is Dick Grayson that I saw in 2 movies ago of him being Robin.
Yeah, the connection. The actors are the connection. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you're gonna know it's the same universe if it's the same actor.
They could easily build a 10-year universe of 20-something movies with just the Bat family and Batman lore.
Absolutely. They absolutely could. Will they? Probably not, but they could.
No, that'd be too easy. Easy of money making.
You're talking about getting a long-term Joker, which is something we haven't really had. You're talking about getting a long-term Batman, a long-term... Honestly, there's too many Batman characters who are underrepresented in live action.
Yes.
And I'm going to be honest with you, one Batman character that I feel is criminally underrepresented in live action is Tim Drake.
Yes.
I'm like...
Yeah, he's an incredible character.
We need a live-action Tim Drake. Tim Drake is one of my, if we're just talking Robins and not the characters beneath the mask, if we're just talking Robins, to me, Tim Drake is the best Robin. You know, Dick Grayson is my favorite comic book character of all time, and I think Nightwing is my favorite superhero of all time. But I think if we're just talking about Robin, I think Tim Drake is the best Robin, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Tim is amazing.
Jason
Todd is such a great, complicated character.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a cool anti-hero. Batwoman is pretty cool. She's also an incredibly awesome, complex character that also reaches out to the lesbian culture, because Katie is a lesbian.
Right.
You know, the characters are very broad. They have a lot of definition to them. They have a lot of character arcs that they can easily build through a series of
And
movies.
Batman's partners are diverse. You know, we
That's
get crap, what's his name? Is Batwing?
yeah, Batwing, which is Fox's
Yeah,
son.
exactly, African American. You know, Dick Grayson is technically Romani. That's representation right there. Like you said, Batwoman, who would support the LGBT community. Um, there is diversity, and then of course in the more recent history we have the Signal, who is also African American. And I'd be interested to see the Signal show up.
But the beautiful thing is, it's not just diversity; it's subtle diversity. None of it has ever felt like it's shoving what it is in your face. It just feels like this is just another character trait of this complicated character.
It would probably be called a Batverse.
A Batverse. Honestly, they'd probably think about calling it something else. Because remember, there's the Bruce Timm verse, which is basically the Bat animated universe
Yeah, yeah.
that led it to Justice League and all that, Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah,
God,
I mean,
shows.
I would love it. I mean, Batman's not even my favorite DC character, but it's the fact that he he is the trunk from which the branches that are all these other great characters grow from.
Yeah.
And he is necessary for all of their origins and creations.
I mean, the two hardest things about building the Bat Family franchise, the Batverse, is finding a consistent long-term Batman and Joker.
Yeah. Cuz I mean, I feel like even if Pattinson does well, I don't know if he's going to want to do it long term.
Yeah.
And most people don't seem to want to play Batman long term because
which I don't get.
You know, I from what I understand based on interviews done with these actors and as particularly actors like Christian Bale, is Batman seems difficult to play. You know, I've seen interviews and read interviews with Christian Bale where he's described that Batman and Bruce Wayne, they're difficult characters to play. You know, you got to be able to get into the psychology of that character, and it's complex. Batman's mind is complex. You have to be able to understand that character to play him properly.
That's very true, because I mean, we're dealing with a character that represents on the surface is so cold and sinister and feels heartless, but yet is doing all of this for the greater good. No one cares about his fellow man more than Bruce Wayne.
Exactly, and yeah,
he is one of the most complicated characters that I've read comics about.
Exactly. I feel like too many actors, you know, who have played Batman, the way they see it as it's Bruce Wayne who is Batman, and they don't understand that that's not how he is as a character. It's Batman who is pretending to be Bruce Wayne. That's how he views himself. You know, Batman is who he is. That's his identity. Bruce Wayne is the mask. That's how he views himself in the comics. And an actor who can understand that and emulate that on screen will be the best Batman we've ever seen.
Which is why I still to this day, and I don't think anyone really disagrees with me, Kevin Conroy is Batman. He is one of the few, I mean, sure, he's just a voice actor. He's never played this character live action except for one time in a TV show as a cameo.
Yeah.
But he understands this character on such a fundamental level.
Absolutely. Like, that makes me think of a scene in Batman the Animated Series. I think it's early on in the series, where he's in the Batcave. He's in the bat suit and everything. He's talking like Batman, but he's got to make a phone call, and he's still in the bat suit. And he answers when he picks up the phone. He's talking like Bruce was like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah, I actually know exactly what you're talking about. I just recently rewatched a lot of the animated. So that was when I think it was one of the first episodes of the animated series.
Yeah, it's one of the Catwoman episodes.
I was on one of the Man-Bat episodes.
Oh, that's right, Man-Bat. It was right after the Catwoman stuff. That's right.
Because he had a phone call because he wanted to try and figure out what the sound was.
Right.
Man-Bat.
Yeah.
And he quickly goes from this deep, raspy voice to, "Hey, Doc."
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, and he gets it. You know,
like in that scene alone, you're just like, so this is a man basically putting on a voice while he's Bruce Wayne. He's putting on a show. He's putting on a mask.
When he did that transition to that voice, it didn't sound like, oh, he's going back to his regular voice. It sounded fake.
Yeah, he sounded like he's putting on a show. He's putting on a mask.
And I feel like if they could just find an actor who understands that, they could potentially be the best Batman ever. And that Batman, and honestly, that Batman doesn't have to be a part of the DCEU. that Batman can be his own thing in a Batman universe, cinematic universe, and do their own thing with that. Which honestly, I have really high hopes for Pattinson. I've learned in the past, don't doubt somebody just based on their past work, on if you think they're a good fit for the role. I learned my lesson with Heath Ledger.
Yes.
I learned my lesson with Robert Downey Jr. You know, both of those are actors that people did not think they were good fits for their roles, and now they're iconic in those roles.
Yeah, I can't see Tony Stark as anybody else. I can't.
Exactly.
There is no one else. That's him. That is him.
Exactly. And, you know, while Heath Ledger, you know, will always be iconic, it doesn't mean that someone... Exactly. And it doesn't mean that someone else can't come along later and be just as good, if not better. You know, I said when I saw The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, I was like, he was just as good as Heath Ledger. I've never said, oh, he was better than Heath Ledger. I don't care about that whole debate. I'm like, he was just as good. He was different.
That's why you can't make a comparison. They're two different Jokers.
Exactly. I was like, he was a very different take on the Joker to Heath Ledger's, but I was like, I came away from it feeling the same way about it. I was like, so he's just as good.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously we could get in. That's a whole nother debate talking about Jokers. We could get into Mark Hamill and Jack Nicholson and stuff, but you know that's something for another time.
Leto's so divisive right now too.
That's a whole nother conversation for another one of these streams.
Yeah, we'll leave that for another
conversation. But back to the topic about the DCEU, I really do think that they have an opportunity to steer the ship in the right direction. They need to take it. You know, I'm excited for the Flash movie. The whole multiverse thing. I think that both the MCU and the DCEU deciding to go towards a multiversal approach to their franchises is going to save them in the long run when it becomes more and more difficult to stay consistent with continuity. I think it's going to be their saving grace. And I feel like the MCU is already on a good path. Clearly, the next phase of the MCU is something different. It's not the same stuff we've seen before. We're going more cosmic. We're going more spiritual with what we're seeing. You know, we still have characters like Falcon and the Winter Soldier to keep us grounded, which people also appreciate that after something like WandaVision, which was very mystical and cosmic, magical. And of course, the X-Men we get a little bit of everything. Fantastic Four, we're going to get a lot of sci-fi stuff. Yeah. The MCU, they're on the right track. DCEU has the opportunity to be on the right track.
They have the hugest opportunity to fix a lot of problems right now.
Yeah, Warner Brothers has to get their heads out of their asses and let these directors do what they do.
Yeah.
You know, DC has some of the most iconic characters in the history of fiction. You know,
which is a shame because they have not been represented that well in media.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the stories have just been overall lackluster, you know, with the exception of a handful. I enjoyed Shazam. I thought Aquaman was okay. I enjoyed the Ultimate. I enjoyed Man of Steel. I actually love the Ultimate cut of BVS.
Same.
And I think the Snyder cut is honestly one of my favorite superhero movies of all time.
Wonder Woman was just a treasure.
Wonder Woman was fantastic, and I don't hate Wonder Woman 84. I just feel it was a little underwhelming.
It's not as good as the first one.
No.
And with the new tone set of Snyder's cut of Justice League, it loses some of its charm for me. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's still an enjoyable watch, especially near the end with Diana's speech. It's very good because here's a cool thing that I found out. During her speech that she gives at the end of Wonder Woman 84, the music that plays is the same music that starts out in BVS and the same music that plays whenever Superman mentions Martha at the end. It's the same music.
Nice.
It's titled A Beautiful Lie.
Nice.
Very in-world, you know, weaving there.
However, I did not enjoy Suicide Squad.
Did not either. Even the Ultimate Edition still didn't save that movie.
I still to this day have not seen Birds of Prey.
I hate that movie. Look, okay, so Black Massa has done great. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan Kenobi kills it. He's probably one of the best characters, one of the best actors I could have put on screen to play Black Mask. An amazing movie for his character. as a movie itself, as a story, as a coherent story, questionable.
I still haven't seen it. I need to see it so I can actually form an opinion on it. But
Well, after how about this? I mean, this is gonna be a little bit off topic. After we get our friend to watch Justice League, we should start watching the whole DCEU from beginning to where it is now. And excluding Justice League and replacing it with Snyder's Cut, I feel like you should enjoy that experience because I had an amazing experience watching in the story thus far with Snyder's Cut.
yeah, I could get down with that.
It really makes me appreciate Man of Steel and BVS a little bit more, especially for their character arcs, because everything comes full circle in Justice League.
Yeah. I hopefully Aquaman 2 ends up being good.
Yeah,
I felt Aquaman 1 was a little overhyped. I had heard for months people talk about how great it was, and when I watched it, I was like, well, it wasn't bad. I just thought there were definitely some big flaws in it. I was like, first of all, Jason Momoa and Amber Heard had no chemistry
at all, and they're trying to spin a love between them.
They had zero chemistry. Amber Heard's acting was not that great, and I'm not just saying that because she's a total psycho. But her acting was not that great. Even Jason's acting in that specific movie was kind of eh. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's because he was just opposite the wrong person.
Yeah.
She needs to be replaced.
Because Momoa's Aquaman's great.
Yeah.
He comes off as a hard ass. You see this character, or you see this man, and you think to yourself, this dude is a super badass. All serious, kind of stuff. But you find out in Justice League and in Aquaman, he cares. He cares about the little man. He cares about people. He cares about things. And
Exactly.
It's just when we pair that with Amber Heard's Mira, it's just not. It doesn't feel like Mira to me because she doesn't give this hope feeling that Mira does. Now she's fine in the nightmare scene because that's what a broken Mira. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's lost Arthur. She wants the revenge factor. That works. But when she's bouncing off of Momoa's Aquaman, it feels like this the same character, just a moody on the surface. Except for she feels moody all the time. Her character was not done that great.
Let me ask you something. Because this sounded weird when I was watching the Snyder Cut. Did she always have a British accent?
No, it's actually unique to the Snyder Cut. She was originally supposed to have this accent for Aquaman, but WB pulled that.
Because I was like, the whole time, every time she spoke in the Snyder Cut, I was just like, why? Why does that sound wrong?
I actually like it better with her British accent because it gives me this more vibe of royalty from her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, typically that's what a British accent is used for in movies, is to sort of give the idea of royalty or whatever. That's why Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z has a slight English accent to him, and the way he enunciates certain words is for that royalty aspect. I didn't like it though.
You didn't like her British accent?
It was just, to me, it was just off-putting the whole time. Every time I heard it, I was just like, ugh. It was like nails on a chalkboard, man.
She does have a bad British accent, but I get the purpose of what they were going for with it. Her acting is still very questionable, so. But that's an actress' fault, not the director's fault.
Yeah, absolutely. Amber Heard is I mean, she's not that great. I mean, let's be honest. And like I said, it has little to do with her being, a complete psycho.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm actually looking something up. I was trying to look up an article that I had read the other day. I can't find it, but anyways, I wanted to clarify this. Is Amber Heard British?
I don't think she is.
That's something I need to look up because I don't actually know. Let's see. I haven't heard interviews with her, so I wouldn't know.
No, she was born in Austin, Texas.
Okay, so she's not. Okay. Well, maybe that's why her accent sounds so unsettling. But yeah,
Johnny Depp was born in Kentucky.
Huh.
If you didn't know.
I didn't know.
Well, now you know.
Anyways, to sum it up, MCU's doing great. Keep doing what you're doing. DCEU, you have an opportunity. Don't fuck
You're
it
on
up.
a high note. Justice League is on such a high note. You just pick it up. And you know what? Straight up, if they just pick up with Justice League and just say, "Hey, Justice League is another universe, and our timeline is this with Justice League instead," not a soul. I promise you, anybody that actually cares about this universe and this franchise, nobody's gonna object to that.
Yeah, they could do that with Flash and break the timeline, and there's two different timelines for the DCEU after the Flash movie.
Yeah,
It's
the
easy. It's easy to
Marvelized
do.
Justice League where Batman says something's definitely bleeding and can go fuck himself, and we'll have our actual beautiful universe that Snyder was crafting.
Yeah.
And then I'm chill with that. They can I'll be okay.
Yep. You have an opportunity. Don't fuck it up. Don't fail with Henry Cavill. Bring him back as Superman. You have a genuinely great Superman. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah, genuinely great Superman. And I thought Affleck's Batman was one of my favorites.
He
Dude looks
currently
amazing.
is my favorite. But like I said, I'm hopeful for Pattinson.
Yeah, Pattinson could change my mind.
I know a
But
lot of
how-
people will disagree with me. A lot of people will say, "Oh no, Bale was the best Batman." I'm like, well, in your opinion, he might be, and I like Bale as Batman, but
Yeah.
there are certain things he does that don't sit right with me as a Batman fan.
So the best sentence I could craft for it is, for the universe that Bale is in, he's a great Batman. And he
Mhm.
was. And those movies are great. But if I took Bale's Batman out of universe and put it in Snyder's universe, and I put Bale's Batman against Cavill's Superman, I don't feel like, even in the slightest, that Bale could even put up half a fight versus, Ben Affleck's Batman, who looks gritted, bulky, huge. He's a
Experienced.
he looks like a Batman who knows how to do his job effectively and still take on metahumans.
Here's the thing. I had a couple of issues with Bale's Batman, and again, I love Bale. I loved him as Batman, but here's my issues. People have talked about Pattinson being too small to be Batman. I'm like, dude,
But Bale is
Bale's a small dude. Like, yeah, he put on a lot of muscle for that role, but he's still not some big hulking tank.
I wish I could get both Affleck and Bale in costume to stand next to each other so I could show people, like, look, Bale's a very small dude compared to Affleck.
He's not a big guy. Also, I don't like the cowl for those Batman movies. I never have. I don't like that how it smashes his nose and it forces him to mouth breathe the whole movie.
I liked Batman Begins' cowl. Like, I thought it was very clean looking.
Yes,
but yeah,
Batman Begins was the only cowl I was like, okay, that looks pretty cool. I love the Batman Begins cowl. I hate it in Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises.
It looks, because it's like that neck piece, like where it like comes up his side of the head right there, where the actual neck is its own pieces. I get it for the head turn, but
makes him look like a jet black giraffe.
Like there's a scene in the Dark Knight when he's like looking at the cowl, kind of like self-reflecting. And when I watched it the first time, because of how the cowl looks, I was like, why is he just holding pieces of his armor right there? Oh, it's his cowl. Oh, versus like now when in BVS when Superman removes Batman's cowl and he kind of holds it up, you look at that and you're like, oh, that's Batman's cowl.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's my other issue with Bale's Batman. This is the biggest issue I had with Bale's Batman is he's not as intelligent as he should be.
Yes, Alfred and Lucius do so much detective work for him.
Yeah, and they even there's literally even a scene where he basically tells Lucius to dumb it down when he's talking to him. I'm like, Bruce wouldn't need you to dumb it down.
Yeah, he'd keep up just fine.
He'd be like, okay, cool, got it. Bruce would be in the situation like, I couldn't necessarily do what you're doing, but I understand what you're saying.
Now, here's the big one for me. The biggest one that bothers me the most about Bale's Batman, which I still love him as Batman. It's just the biggest thing that really
bothers me. It's the internet. You have to clarify every time.
I will clarify this every time I say this. I love Bale as Batman. He was a great Batman. He works for the universe that he was presented as Batman. But the biggest thing that bothers me is Batman, Bruce Wayne, does not give up on Gotham. Ever. And in The Dark Knight Rises, he gives up. He does his job and he quits and leaves it to somebody else. Bruce Wayne would not do that. He would literally rather die in the hands of defending Gotham than do one big act and leave.
Yep.
Batman does not give up on Gotham, ever. He would do that job until he physically could not anymore. And that's the biggest thing that I don't like about Bale's Batman, is that he basically gives up. And I know it's not really what happens. He saved the city. He gave technically his life to the city, and he retired. And I get it, but Bruce Wayne, not actually act like that. The real Bruce Wayne would be like, okay, I've done that, and Batman's still alive.
Yeah.
He wouldn't give up. He would keep being Batman.
Look, Una, people can see you. People can see you on camera.
Yeah, it's the doggo love.
It's
The doggo love.
Hey, girl. Yep, this is Una. Anyways, I agree. I think Bale was a great Batman, like you said, for his universe, but he wouldn't work in, say, the Snyderverse or maybe some other universes.
Yeah, he works in a grounded, realistic universe, but I can't see Bale's Batman taking on a metahuman.
No, absolutely not. And I think that those movies had great performances. But again, that's something that we could talk about another day. Something else I wanted to touch on was a recent article I read with an interview with Hayden Christensen, saying that Hayden Christensen feels good about returning as Darth Vader in the Kenobi show.
Sweet.
And I was, I wanted to talk about that because I was like, it sounds really reassuring. Hold on, my camera's being weird again. It sounds really reassuring to me when an actor who was bullied for so long for playing a certain character or a certain role in movies that weren't necessarily accepted by the mass fandom, when they feel like they can return to that same role and be comfortable in it, and they don't have to be ashamed of it, it's awesome, because obviously we were prequel kids.
Yeah.
We grew up watching the Star Wars prequels, and it doesn't mean I dislike the original trilogy.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I have to dislike the sequel trilogy. I do dislike the sequel trilogy, but I don't have to.
Just going on record.
Just going on record. But Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
And Hayden Christensen got a lot of hate for those movies, and people was saying that he can't act or whatever it was at the time, when it was really just people who didn't understand the nuances of its performance. It wasn't his acting, it was the dialogue that they had a problem with. And that's George Lucas's writing. I mean, no one's claiming George Lucas is a master at dialogue, because he's clearly not.
Yes, his characters talk pretty weird to each other.
Yeah, I mean, it took someone as great as Ewan McGregor to make some of that dialogue work. I mean,
best example, Yoda.
And Yoda, yeah. Ewan McGregor, also Samuel L. Jackson. It took really, and Liam Neeson. It took really great, seasoned actors to make some of that dialogue work. Hayden was still young in the industry at that time. And
I still think he gave an incredible performance, especially in 3.
Yes, 2, I felt his performance was a little shaking. I feel like he was still finding himself as an actor. 3, for sure, he gave a great performance, and I always cite the scene at the opera with Palpatine, and I'm like, he says very little in that whole sequence. He doesn't talk a whole lot in that sequence, but the expressions on his face speak 1,000 words.
Yep.
You can read his face and see the conflict that he's dealing with in that scene. And I'm just like, that's acting. That's acting.
He's a great actor. I think he's a great actor.
People who said, oh, Hayden Christensen, he was too monotone. He doesn't have enough. That's why they like, what's his name? I think his name's Matt Lautner, who voices Anakin in the Clone Wars. They really liked him more than Hayden. And I'm like, because he had more personality. And I'm like, okay, but the reason Hayden had a monotone voice is because that's how Darth Vader talks.
Yeah, see, when you told me about that really broadened my perspective on it, and I started to hate Episode 2 a lot less, because I'm thinking at it now that Hayden's looking at it at a perspective of, Darth Vader's monotone. Yeah. And I got to try and sound like a guy who's monotone.
Yeah, it's like, just because he's burnt up, and he's in a suit, doesn't automatically make him decide I'm going to talk like a robot because, I look like a robot. No, like, he's going to talk. He's going to talk. Yeah, he's going to sound a bit different, but he's going to talk the way he would normally talk. And if that's how he talks, then Hayden did great, because he wanted to emulate the way James Earl Jones voiced Vader. Yeah. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm like,
when you look at the comparison, it just feels more natural. It opens your eyes.
It makes the connection,
Like if you look at it from watching Vader, then you go watch episode 2, you're like, I can see this guy becoming Vader. You know, it feels like a natural progression
Yeah.
as far as like how the character talks. The
Absolutely,
character
absolutely.
dialogue.
It connected the dots. You know, it was like, okay, this is the same character. They even talk the same. You know, it is the same guy. But let's
I
see.
don't like sand.
I don't like sand. If only Vader had said that, then it really would be the same guy. I'm actually gonna share my screen real quick. Let's see which one is it? I think it's this one. Okay, let's bring that up a little bit. Okay, it's on this stealth is optional website. I've never really heard of them before, so I don't, you know, I don't I don't know where they came from, but I don't know how legitimate they are. But Hayden Christensen returning as Darth Vader. Let's see. Of course, Anakin and Obi-Wan weren't on the greatest terms when we last saw them. Christensen told Star Wars. It was such an incredible journey playing Anakin Skywalker. Let's see here. 10 years takes place Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. 10 years after Anakin was defeated on Mustafar, described as rematch of the century. It will be interesting to see what an amazing director like Deborah Chow has in store for us. I'm excited to work with you, and again, it feels good to be back. So, if that's obviously legitimate, you know, I'm like, that's super reassuring, you know, to know that he feels good about returning to the franchise, to a franchise that he was bullied and hated on so much for being part of. I've never made that connection with his voice. It really does feel natural. Exactly. It's the point I'm trying to make, is that, you know, that's why he did that. He knew, he was like, okay, I need to make these people believe that, you know, I'm going to be Darth Vader at some point. So I need to try and make every connection I can. Obviously, I'm not in a Darth Vader suit, so it's like, all right, well, something I can match is that voice, the way Vader talks. I'm like, okay, well, that makes total sense. And especially for someone like that, who goes through the stuff that he goes through. You know, he's very conflicted. He's also been taught to suppress his emotions all his life. You know, I'm like, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So, when you look at the broader picture, rather than just watching the movie, on how the actor's delivering these lines, a lot of it really connects a lot better. And I don't know. Yeah, if more people could realize that, they'd probably hate on him a little bit less. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm super excited for the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. I'm even more excited to see Hayden return, and in what capacity he's going to return. Is it going to be flashbacks? Is he actually going to be in the Vader suit? You know, what's it going to be? You know, I'm super excited to see how he's going to be involved. Lastly, I wanted to talk about something else that's Star Wars related. Recent reports have said that the Kylo Ren prequel show, or Kylo Ren origin show, or movie, or whatever they plan on doing, that they've been talking about for some time now, is going to move forward without Adam Driver.
Really?
Yes. And now, if they plan on doing Ben Solo as a kid, obviously that makes sense. Because, like, Adam Driver can't be a kid. You know, he can't play a kid. So I'm like, if that ends up being the case, if that ends up being the case, it makes total sense. And while it's a little disappointing, because I just wanted to see more Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, as Ben Solo, because he was the only reason to really watch those movies to me. It makes sense. You know, I still want to see it. I don't have to be a fan of the sequel movies to be interested in seeing more material about Kylo Ren or Ben Solo.
Yep.
You know, different people are going to be involved in it. Different people are going to be writing it. Hopefully they actually have a plan for what they want to do with it. But, you know, that's another thing I'm excited to see. And while I'm disappointed that it means we're not likely to get more Adam Driver as Kylo Ren or Ben Solo, at least anytime soon, I'm always excited for anything that adds more lore to Star Wars, and any shows or movies that add more content to the Star Wars universe.
It's usually good stuff.
Yeah, I'm still super excited for it. Anyways,
well, that's about it. We've talked about so many topics today.
Yep, this was the first time we've ever tried something like that. I think overall it went pretty well. I'd like to find a program that's not just Discord to do it on someday. Something that
Yeah.
I can customize a little bit more.
You
And
probably make the
hopefully,
background look better.
yeah, and hopefully I can find a way to get it to where my webcam doesn't blur randomly throughout the stream. But if you did come by and watch, we really appreciate it. Again, there are links to both of our Twitch channels in the description below if you ever want to come watch me play Dragon Ball Z Kakarot or Kingdom Hearts or Star Wars Battlefront, or if you want to go watch him play Apex Legends or whatever he happens to be playing at the time, you can do that. Also, a link to our Discord is down there in the description if you want to come join the Discord, chat, share memes, whatever, as well as my Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter. I post on there fairly frequently. This, like I said, is the first time we tried anything like this. It was fun. I think it'll be even more fun when we get our third on here and we talk.
It'll be a lot more fun with KJ.
Since this went relatively well, I feel like for our very first one, we'll probably try to do them once a month. It'll always be a Friday, but it'll probably be like once a month unless they start to gain more traction. Then maybe we can talk about beefing it up. But for now, it'll be once a month maybe. So the next one will be in May sometime. And like I said, I will post in my Discord, on my Twitter, as well as on my community page here on YouTube when we decide on a date for the next one.
Yeah.
So again, thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with us for a little bit.
Thanks for all the support, everybody.
And hopefully we get to see you again pretty soon.
Yep. Everybody has a good one.
Yep. Later.